Welcome in on a
Thursday morning, getting you up, getting you ready to go, maybe bringing you some significant injury news. If you didn't see it yesterday, we'll tell you about that this morning as potentially some major news for
that will impact, I should say. I've been trying to figure out how to lead with this all morning as I made the drive down here.
The South Carolina-Kentucky point spread dropping overnight, and there is an injury involved in this game, according to one Brian Edwards, who we will have with us here at 8:20 this morning to maybe discuss. But Will Levis might not be playing in the game on this coming Saturday night. And we will get a little bit more information on that here later this morning. That certainly would be something that could impact the game. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go through the morning. Marcus Satterfield and Clayton White speaking with the media yesterday. We will get into what they had to say and how they had to address their particular offensive and defensive units and what they need to do to both move the ball against Kentucky and to slow down Kentucky. So a lot to get into this morning. J.C. Shurburtt will join us here in about an hour, as he does each and every Thursday. We'll be joined by Brian Edwards of Vegas Insider coming up at 8:20. We'll get his picks for the week, and we'll dig a little bit more into this supposed injury to Will Levis that really could be very interesting, could impact this game on Saturday night. And look, it's a big one. Don't make any mistake about it. I have kind of been under the impression, me personally, not referring to anything you or y'all, I should say, have said or weighed in with, but I have actually thought maybe the Texas A&M game was more of the more winnable contest. But actually, as I look now, 7 hours ago, so 11 o'clock after I had gone to bed, this is according to Brian Edwards, Circa Sports now has Kentucky down to a 5.5 point favorite. And when you see a line move like that, there is something going on. And it's not money that is being thrown on it. It is a significant injury. And that is how we start the morning, with what appears to be an injury. This is according to Matt Jones of Kentucky Sports Radio. Will Levis has an injury unrelated to his dislocated finger on his throwing hand. Matt Jones of Kentucky Sports Radio saying that Levis will be a game time decision, and Kaya Sharon will get the starting nod if Levis can't go. There you go. Big news as we get it. That was coming out at about 10 o'clock last night, well after little old Bill Gunner was already in bed and trying to count a few sheep. So the news coming out, saw that as soon as I got up this morning, and that is certainly something to lead off with and talk about this morning, as it would be very, very what's the word? What do we go for when there's an injury of this magnitude? The starting quarterback for the opposition, a guy who is projected as a top 10 pick, maybe the number one quarterback taken in the upcoming NFL draft, a guy that right now has kind of carried that Kentucky football team so far in the first 5 games. If there is indeed an injury to him, the last time South Carolina beat Kentucky, it was an injury to a starting quarterback that hampered Kentucky, and South Carolina was able to take advantage of it here in Columbia. So we'll talk a lot about that this morning. Again, Brian Edwards, hopefully we'll get us some more information when he pops on at 8:20 this morning. Obviously, we'll talk with J.C. Shurburtt about what we're talking about there with the injury to Levis coming up at 7 o'clock. And Kerry Tharp, as always, to break down NASCAR coming up at about 8:40 this morning. If you want to join along the way, 803-404-6100 is how you can be a part of the program. Again, Marcus Satterfield talking yesterday, as well as Clayton White, and we'll get into that a little bit. David weighing in this morning on our live stream says Kentucky will simply win the game on the line of scrimmages. Well, David, if you kind of paid attention to Kentucky, they haven't been winning any game on the line of scrimmage so far. They're second to last in sacks and dead last in the league in rushing right now. This isn't the same Kentucky team. As you start to really dig into it, I think a lot of you are probably like me and a little naive and not really kind of paying attention to it. This isn't that Kentucky team. Last week I saw them rise to number 7 in the polls, and I think we said, man, yeah, that Mark Stoops, he knows what he's doing, knows how to build that program. But the truth is, this Kentucky team is actually in a bit of transition, losing their offensive line coach that everybody here is very familiar with, Eric Wolford, who went to Alabama. They've lost some offensive linemen from last year's really talented group, and that's why they've struggled being able to run the football this year. Not only that, but obviously Chris Rodriguez being out. That is an X factor in terms of him coming back. So we'll talk more about that this morning. But even the defensive line has not been up to Kentucky standards. Just 6 sacks on the season for that Kentucky defensive line. So this is you start to really dig into what Kentucky is, and certainly they're capable of winning the football game. There's a reason that South Carolina is not the favorite, even with this injury to Kentucky's starting quarterback and the probability that he may or may not play. Kentucky is probably still the better team, but I do think you start to look at it a little bit more and go, okay, maybe this isn't the uphill battle that I personally thought it was going into the week, where the point spread started at 12.5, and again, due to an injury now, it is down to 5.5 per Circa Sportsbook. So we'll get into that a lot this morning. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. That's how you can join in and be a part of the program this morning. You can do so on the Love Chevy phone lines, or you can do so via the text as always. You can also catch up via our live stream, where plenty of people, Colin, David, LeVar, another David, Tim, Anthony, all in this morning and getting us up and going there on our live stream. You can go to youtube.com, search 1075 The Game, click join, subscribe, be a part of it there, and weigh in. Colin weighing in and saying, really wish I would have grabbed the line at +11. So we'll see. It's still, there's a reason Kentucky is still the favorite, and there's a reason we still need to see South Carolina go out and offensively perform in the first quarter, defensively perform in the first quarter. There's still a lot of questions to be answered from the South Carolina side of things on Saturday night. But we'll get into a lot of that this morning. Jen is back here in the producer studio. She'll try and keep me in check and get everybody lined up.
Sounds fun.
Everything worked out okay yesterday after you left? You're healthy?
Yes, I'm completely healthy.
Relatively healthy?
Yeah, I know you miss me, though.
I do. I miss you each and every day when you're not here. It's just.
And I'll have to tell you later about the goats that we're hiring.
I'm sorry? There we go. The goats we are hiring?
Yep.
Here
we are. You aren't.
At the station or at the Jensen?
No, personally.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
we'll talk about that later.
We look forward. Jen has a GOAT story. I have some football injury news. You have your opinions. We have so much to do this morning. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Here's what's coming up on the next Extra Point.
Where are we on Will Levis on this show? Oh, boy.
Overrated.
I think he was a great addition to Kentucky's offense. Like, I think he was and is an upgrade in a lot of ways for them. But I think we have now gone, it was like ESPN was like, we're going to make this guy into a top 5 pick.
I mean, Todd Blackwood said on the broadcast he might be the number 1 quarterback in the draft. And I was like, the number 1 quarterback taken in the 6th round? Like, what are you talking about?
Good.
It's almost like he's like a member of like a political party where they're like, this is our candidate.
It's and
he's being like, we are going to prop him up. You know,
is he being backed by Big Manny?
There you go.
We have a sleep number and then a 0 res you have to cut to.
9 a.m. to noon on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5.
We have
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
Kelly Mill near Bombing Range Road. That's the only accident we have out there this morning. Let's hope it stays that way. A little bit warmer today. Kind of nice. Sunny and mild. 82 for the high and 84 tomorrow. Backing down to 75 on Saturday. But right now, 52 at 107.5 The Game.
This is Boomer Science with the CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by Indeed. Attract, interview, and hire at Indeed.com/credit. Through the first 4 weeks of the NFL season, a record 23 games have been decided by 3 points or fewer. This trend toward the parity the league craves has typically provided fans with the kinds of fantastic finishes we enjoyed in last season's thrilling playoffs. Let's hope it continues. Boomer Science.
Chest up, engage your core.
At Misty's gym, boot camp gets pretty close to the real thing. She wants to spot a personal trainer with a
Oh, not good for getting the water. Mm-mm.
That's right. Don't need it. That's strange. The way our thing popped up there on Twitter.
What's that?
Normally it actually shows me the video, but this has a link to it. It's kind of different. I don't think I did anything different.
Well, do you remember the other day there was that message. It was up there, something about needing to connect to Facebook.
Oh, I did that, but that was just
Oh, good.
Facebook.
Oh, okay. I don't know if somehow that played a role. I'm downloading audio, FYI, so I'll have it shortly.
Oh, just because I don't need it now. You'll just have it shortly.
Would you like one? Like, try to find it.
If you got something, anything.
Oh, nah.
Just anything. Just play anything.
Wonder if it'll play. Hold on. Okay. Let's give it a shot. Maybe. I got nothing.
We don't have all.
No, you failed. You failed. You let me down just early in the morning, 6:18. I was waiting to see if Jen could play some audio. We're doing all kinds of production here, and I'm harassing Jen on the live stream, and I frazzled her too much, and she didn't get us any audio there.
No, the computer doesn't move that
the
fast.
computer, always somebody
Always
else's
the
fault.
computer.
Always, yeah. 803-404-6100, how you can be a part of the program this morning. Again, the big news right now coming out of Kentucky is, according to Matt Jones with Kentucky Sports Radio, there is a injury to Will Levis not related to the dislocated finger that he suffered in the game on Saturday. This is something entirely different, and he is a game time decision. Now, I've seen this before, but when stuff like this happens and you see a point spread move in the manner that this has moved, typically what ends up happening is that player is going to be out. This is Matt Jones again from 8 hours ago, saying a lot of speculation online, but here is what's real. Will Levis is questionable for the game Saturday. He has an injury different than the finger that isn't long-term serious, but could leave him out. He'll be a game time decision. So something certainly to keep an eye on there as it pertains to Kentucky. Again, this Kentucky team is good. Make no mistake about it. They're a good football team. And Mark Stoops, I think both Patrick Perrette and I have banged the drum that, you have to respect Kentucky a little bit more than maybe you have in the past, the way Mark Stoops has built that program. And we talk identity. So there's been so much talk about South Carolina and identity, especially offensive identity. And really it's been the last 5 weeks, but it even goes back to last year. And Kentucky, what the identity is. And that's why a lot of you are weighing in and basically saying, look, they're still going to run the ball. They're still going to be physical. Yes, they will not have their starting quarterback, but they're still going to line up. Kevin on our live stream says if I wasn't going to the game, I'd hammer that -6 Kentucky line, Levis or not. They're going to try and go all JoJo Kemp on us. That is the Kentucky identity. And when you talk about establishing an identity for your football team and what the opposition will face on a week in, week out basis, South Carolina under Frank Martin in basketball had an identity. You knew that they were going to be physical. You knew that they were going to play defense every time. That's why if you ever heard the announcers, if you'd hear what the announcers would talk about when South Carolina would play, they talk about the game being a rock fight or a brawl, a backyard brawl or a street brawl or whatever it was, because Frank Martin teams had an identity as being very hard-nosed defensively, very difficult to deal with because they beat you around. That's what this South Carolina football team is trying to establish or find, is any or some or any kind of identity. What do they do? What is it you get when South Carolina rolls into your stadium or when South Carolina, you come to Williams-Brice Stadium? What is the identity of the Gamecocks? Is it physical on offensive and defensive lines? That's kind of what you're asking. Is it that? Is it some kind of air raid offense where they're going to sling it all over the field? Is it a pounding, bruising running game? Well, we don't know with South Carolina. You don't know offensively. You don't know defensively. But with Kentucky, even when you take their quarterback out, their starting quarterback, the guy who's a projected first-round pick, maybe a top 10 pick, you still know that they're going to be physical and line up and try and bruise you. So it's very interesting to kind of see the identity that Mark Stoops has built the formula he's used to win with at Kentucky, and how obviously on our live stream and even on our text line, it strikes a little bit of fear into fans right now. 803-404-6100 is what you can do to weigh in this morning, whether it's on the text line or on the Love Chevy phone lines. Let's get out to those Love Chevy phone lines. Josh wants to weigh in this morning on Kentucky. Josh, how you doing? What's on your mind?
Hey, Bill. Hey, first of all, I hope Will Levis plays. I don't want to see Will Levis not play. I don't want, if we can go up there and get a win, I don't want to hear the people saying, oh, well, if Will Levis would have played, then, they might not have won. I don't want there to be any question. If we go up there and play hard, I'd rather do it with them, with their starting quarterback. That's just me. I had a question for you, too. Shane Beamer on Tuesday was talking about the outside noise and the talking heads and not knowing what the heck they're talking about. Now, are there fans out there and some talking heads that are pretty daggum negative all the time and kind of take it to extreme? Yes, there are, okay? But I think there's a lot of talking heads out there that raise some very valid questions. I mean, you got a lot of people that are sitting on their couch making under $50,000 a year at their 9 to 5 that are seeing things that just make you scratch your head. I mean, play calling, not going vertical more downfield, not going over the middle, there's a lot of things that, are going on with the play calling. I just don't think you can dismiss everybody that they don't know what the heck they're talking about. I know that's a coach kind of having his players back and whatnot, but I do think that there are some valid things out there that people are talking about that need to be addressed. So I just want to know, as a talking head, what you kind of thought about that or what you took from it. And I appreciate you taking my call. You have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for the phone call, Josh. Yeah, it doesn't look. I think Shane Beamer is a very positive guy. I think he's going to defend his program. He's going to defend his coaches. I think he's got to make hard decisions, whether it's, I don't think there will be any decisions made during the season. I don't think Shane is like that. I think there's a level of respect he tries to maintain with his coaching staff, and you can say that's good or bad, as to how this season will play out. I think that at the end, though, in December, there will have to be decisions that will need to be made as it pertains to the direction of this football team and what Shane sees, what Coach Beamer sees as his team. And so, yeah, if he wants to say that, it's fine. Doesn't bother me. Look, he's got a job to do. I've got a job to do. I respect what he does. And I personally think that at least right now, they're still trending in the right direction. I don't see similarities in coaching, but I see similarities in kind of how Steve Spurrier ran the program the first few years, making many mistakes with his coaching staff and then finally getting it correct. Now, the key is getting it correct, right? That's the big part. You're allowed to make mistakes. There's going to be mistakes. You hire 11 guys. If you hire 11 sales guys in your business, 10 sales guys, I guess head coach makes 11. But if you hire 10 other people, you're not going to knock it out the park with 10 great sales guys. The odds are not in your favor. You got to continue to upgrade your staff, I guess, whether that's in the business world or that's in the coaching department. And I think there are going to have to be some decisions made, but that's for Shane to decide, and that's for us, not just me. I don't consider myself media, by the way. People get all fired up. I consider myself entertainment at bare minimum or bare maximum, I guess. We're not
really.
Yeah, I think entertaining. Just to an extent.
No, I think I would have to agree. You're entertaining.
Good Lord, I hope nobody takes this show very serious. If you're in for serious radio, are you listening to the wrong program? Like we try to, like I said, was it yesterday? I forget if you were here or not. Like it turned into I don't want to say a very serious show, but people were very fired up about Aaron Judge and baseball and getting upset with each other on the text line and the live stream and yelling. It was just a whole bunch of people fired up. We don't want that early in the morning. I don't want you to wake up and get you so riled up you go yell at a poor unsuspecting coworker who's just trying to enjoy their morning. But with all that,
literally, I leave for an hour, a little over an hour, and you just let things fall apart.
No, it actually was a great. Heath was fantastic. Heath, we had one situation, but we handled it. He got his feelings out and weighed in. I was fine with that. It was perfectly fine. But no, as far as look, there's 5 games. I said this yesterday. You look at the next 4 games. South Carolina sits at 3-2, and the sky is not falling. There are things that need to be better. I don't think anybody has said that no, everything's great, but the sky is not falling. South Carolina, the next 4 games are very winnable. This one included. Texas A&M at home, Missouri at home, Vanderbilt at home. It's not inconceivable the way Texas A&M is playing that South Carolina actually could be favored in 3 of these next 4. Obviously, they're not favored this weekend, so they could be favored in the next 3. Texas A&M right now is that is a lost football program when you see what's going on there. Obviously, a very talented football program. There is a ton of talent running around College Station. They'll show up in on the 22nd as the far more talented team as opposed to South Carolina. But there's a lot of flaws there with what the Aggies are doing, and they get Alabama this coming Saturday night at 8:00, and that's going to be obviously a big test for them. And they get them, by the way, in Tuscaloosa. Oh boy, look out, Texas A&M. So I don't think the sky is falling. I think that they can right the ship. It's not inconceivable that South Carolina, maybe. Well, this would be an interesting question to throw out there. If Will Levis does not play, maybe you look at it and go, they should go no worse than 3-1 in the next 4. 2 home games. Vanderbilt, obviously, on the road is very winnable. This one is maybe the toughest of the next 4. And, if with capital letters, I and F, if South Carolina wins the next 4 and they're sitting at 7-2 after the first weekend in November, even if the offense is struggling, I'll be honest, if the offense is struggling and South Carolina's sitting at 7-2, I got bad news for the people who want the offensive coordinator gone. It's probably not going to happen, but get through this weekend. And one other thing, Will Levis, I don't care whether he plays or not. I just want to see South Carolina win. I don't care if they bring back Tim Couch. I don't care if it's Andre Woodson. I don't care if you run Brett Favre out there and his illegally taken millions. I don't care who plays quarterback. I want South Carolina to win. They can go out there with an offensive guard as their quarterback, and as long as South Carolina gets a victory on Saturday night, you take it and you move on. I'm in the camp of I don't care if Will Levis plays or not. I'm not pulling for him to play. I want to see South Carolina win the football game. Now, it doesn't matter if how they win it, what they do. I'd prefer not to watch a 3-2 victory, but if that's what they have to do to win the ball game, shoot, go and win it and take a step toward getting bowl eligible, because that's a big step for this program. 803-404-6100. We're off to some kind of start this morning. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game's 15th Anniversary Rewind. 2009.
Michael Jackson dies at the age of 50. The movie Avatar is released. It'll go on to break many box office records. U.S. Airways Flight 1549 is struck by geese, forcing a crash landing on the Hudson River by pilot Sully Sullenberger. All 155 people on board survived. At Carolina, the football team went 7-6 and lost the Papa John's Bowl to UConn. The men's basketball team finished 21-10 in Coach Darren Horn's first year. The women's hoop squad completed Coach Don Staley's first season 10-18. And the baseball team went 40-23 and advanced to the NCAA regionals.
Our 15th anniversary celebration on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, getting you better sooner. On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game and the new 107.5 The Game app.
There's no better time to purchase a heating and air unit than right now. You've heard me talking about this, and the way things are going, there's going to be new government regulations coming out that's going to impact the heating and air unit industry. You're going to end up paying maybe as much as 30% more for a new Tier 2 HVAC system starting in January. And right now, the way things are set up, you can get a great deal with AAA Heating Air. You just need to give them a phone call, 803-677-1500. You need to tell them Bill Gunner sent you. All they're doing is trying to empty their warehouse, and they're offering great deals in an effort to do that, and you can take advantage of it. Call them today. Find out what AAA Heating and Air can do for you. You can get new home comfort as quickly as tomorrow. You just need to tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 803-677-1500. That's how you can get in touch with them. Again, they guarantee financing. So even if you've got questionable credit, you've been struggling a little bit, you've been wanting to take advantage of this deal, but you worry about your credit, you don't know if you can get the financing, AAA Heating and Air guarantees financing. So don't wait any longer. Call them today. 803-677-1500. On top of guaranteed financing, AAA Heating and Air offers a 15-year parts and labor warranty, and that's something you're able to take advantage of as well. So don't wait any longer. Find out what AAA Heating and Air can do for you today. 803-677-1500. That's AAA Heating and Air.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
We have a report of an accident, Bluff Road near Pineview Drive. Also, Hardscrabble Road at Wilson Boulevard. Kelly Mill Road near Bombing Range Road, an accident there. And something on the highway to keep an eye out for, I-26 westbound after Augusta Highway. Great forecast for the next 2 days. Sunny and mild, 82 for the high, 84 on Friday. Still going to have sunny skies over the weekend, just a little bit cooler, 75 and 73. Right now, 52. 107.5 The Game.
What QC Kinetics is doing for people here is nothing short of amazing. I'm talking real, lasting relief from joint pain. Hey, it's Bill Gunner, and QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in exciting new pain treatments with advanced regenerative medicine, non-surgical alternatives. If you're living with joint pain from an injury or arthritis, don't let them tell you steroids, pain medications, and surgery are your only options. QC Kinetics uses regenerative treatments that can restore and repair damaged tissue. Maybe you
JT Jeep Ram has the largest Jeep inventory anywhere. Other dealers are charging thousands.
I've got one of the weirdest text messages I've ever got in.
When other dealers say no, JT says yes, you're approved. Drive the Jeep or Ram of your dreams. Get 0.9% financing and let JT get you approved. JT's Jeep Ram Lexington. JT'sJeep.com.
Yeah, Tom Brady's also having a little bit of trouble at home now, isn't he? Maybe he shouldn't have been continuing to play football, huh? Sorry, I came to let you in, and I was calling for you.
There's a lot going on our text line this morning.
Yeah, exactly. That's weird.
All right, what was I doing?
Sounds like me. I can't focus on anything.
Love your results or your money back. To start your free online visit, go to forhims.com/.
I really do have sound now. So I'm getting the cut sheet together, but if you want to use Satterfield. I have Satterfield ready.
803-404-6100 is yeah, Larry says sounds like there's a party going on in the studio. Yeah, on Jen's side of the studio, I know they're celebrating something, maybe the fact that it's a Thursday morning. On my side, I'm reading the text line, and
Basically had somebody who couldn't get in the back door. So every once in a while we have a door that malfunctions, so it has to do with the unlocking mechanism. So I heard her, so I ran to try to get the door open, and not in time, then scared me in the hallway. So,
okay.
Good times.
Party taking
is a
place
party.
here at the Cumulus Studios this morning. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in this morning and be a part of the program. Let's get out to those Love Chevy phone lines. Ty is up next. Ty, how you doing this morning?
How you doing, Bill?
Doing good.
And why you want to do this to yourself, Bill? And this is what I mean. You just said that you just want to see them win, which I agree. Every fan wants to see their team win. But as you know, and all the Gamecocks fans know, that y'all have a nice, shiny car with a bad engine. If you win against this Kentucky team that's missing their best piece, good. But then what happens if y'all go to Texas A&M and get shellacked, but y'all limp and get into a bowl? You think everything's gonna be fine next year? It has to be done. Everybody know it has to be done. Y'all need a new offensive coordinator, and people don't want to say it, but it don't matter what happens in this season. That has to happen.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I want them to lose. You can make tough. You can make
rid of his.
You can make tough decisions. I mean, that's on Shane. That's not on me. But that doesn't mean I want them to lose. Lord knows it's a lot easier for me to do a radio show on Monday when they win than it is. Well, I say that the Monday after, contrary to what people wish and think, like the Monday after the Georgia game was probably one of the easiest radio shows I'll ever do in my life. But that's not really what I prefer. I would still like to see them win. Now, that doesn't mean that it absolves the problem of the offense. But who knows? Maybe do I think it'll be fixed on Saturday night or against Texas A&M? No, I am a believer that you are who you are, and that is the way it's in life. You change? Yes, people can go out there and change. They can obviously go to rehab and do things, but generally speaking, in life, you kind of are who you are, and that's the same for the offensive coordinator here in this situation through 18 games. It's why I really don't anticipate South Carolina having some kind of monstrous night on Saturday, but I still would like to see them win. Quite frankly, even with the injury, I'm not sure I'll pick them to win tomorrow when Patrick and I make our picks. But no, you don't lose for the sake of like trying to just fire a guy. You can win. Did Clemson fans help me out for a second? Clemson went to the Orange Bowl and got beat by West Virginia, but they were in the Orange Bowl and obviously gave up 70 points to West Virginia, and they fired Kevin Steele to get, I think, Brent Venables. Clemson fans can correct me if I'm wrong on that. I believe it was Venables that followed Kevin Steele on that. And that was a successful season, and they made a change that obviously led them on to other championships, bigger and better things, but they still had a heck of a season before making that change. You can do the same thing. You don't have to lose just to make changes.
Yeah, I understand that. I have a quick question. Since you watched the team very closely, what do you think should be the Gamecocks identity? Meaning the pieces that it's already there, what should they focus on? And I'll get off the phone and I'll listen to you.
Appreciate the phone call, Ty. I hope you're doing well out there. I think if you look at history, J.C. Shurburtt, who comes up in 20 minutes, and I have had this conversation before, and so I'm going to go on a little bit of a long-winded rant to get to you. We've talked about Florida. Florida has been at its best because of the athletes you can recruit in that state when it's a high-flying offense, when it's spread it out, throw it around. You look at Steve Spurrier, you look at Urban Meyer. So what should be the identity of South Carolina, in my opinion? I think it should be the run game. I say this, and I'm going to be an idiot because of what I'm about to say, and nothing prior to that for the last 6 years. South Carolina typically has been at its absolute best in its football history when it's run the football and played defense. Run the football. I really honestly thought Will Muschamp would be a huge success here because his mentality was recruit your hiney off, run the football, and play defense. And I really thought that motto, that ideal, that was the ideal system for South Carolina. I still do. I don't think you can be a spread it out, throw it around football team and win kind of with the Mike Leach air raid kind of thing offense. I think you're run the ball first. And you go back, you go back to George Rogers and when Jim Carlin was successful, and you look at some of the things Joe Morrison did when he was successful. I know they had some good years there with the run and shoot offense, but you look at Lou Holtz, the way they won in 2000 and 2001, it was led by running the football. Obviously, when Steve Spurrier really got it going, it was Marcus Lattimore and Mike Davis and running the football and playing defense. And to me, that should be the identity of whomever the head coach is at South Carolina. Is we're going to run the football. We're going to be dominant at the line of scrimmage. We're going to recruit linemen. We're going to build them up over time. We're going to have veteran offensive linemen out there. Maybe every once in a while you land a Brandon Shell or an A.J. Can, a guy who can come in and start very early on his career. But you run the football, and then you play defense. And that, to me, should be the identity of South Carolina football. And I think that's what South Carolina should be striving for right now. We'll see if they are willing to kind of commit to that on Saturday night and try and run the football. 803-404-6100. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It is the early game on 107.5, The Game.
The Halftime Show with Jay, Terry, and Tommy. Noon to 3 on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
Yeah, you heard me talk about it, getting up each and every morning, having to do a sports talk radio show, getting a great night of sleep. It's absolutely imperative. I need a fantastic night of sleep, and that's why I have relied on Sleep Number for the last 5 years to get me ready for this sports talk radio show, and you can do the same. I put that Sleep Number setting on 55. I wake up rested, refreshed. I'm ready to go, and you can do the absolute same. People ask, why choose proven quality sleep from Sleep Number? It's simple, because to be your best every day, you need proven quality sleep every night. And right now, don't miss Sleep Number's special introductory offer on the new Climate 360 Smart Bed. That's right. There's a new bed out there, the Climate 360 Smart Bed. And you can visit one of the 2 stores here in town to check it out. One in Irmo on Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings. The other in Columbia across from on Two Notch Road across from Sand Hills Mall. This is an incredible new bed based on the use of temperature features and our property responsive air technology. That's right, proprietary responsive air technology. And it's based on the average sleep IQ data from 2021 through 2022 of sleepers who engaged with their Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep IQ data and FlexFit smart adjustable base, and it's received up to 170 hours of more restful sleep per year than sleepers on a Sleep Number bed. You need to check it out. Go visit a Sleep Number store and check out this new incredible Sleep Number 360 Climate Smart Bed. It's actually really cool, brand new product, and you need to go visit a Sleep Number store and check it out. So make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
Still working an earlier accident. Bluff Road near Pineview Drive. Also Hardscrabble Road at Wilson Boulevard. Kelly Mill Road near Bombing Range Road. Still working that accident. And there is a report of something on the highway I-26 westbound just after Highway 1. Beautiful forecast on tap for the next several days. We'll be in the 80s today and tomorrow, and then dropping back into the 70s for the weekend. Right now, though, not too bad. 52, 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by eBay Motors. You might not have the biggest garage on the block, but with eBay Motors, there's 122 million parts right at your fingertips. Whatever you need, there's something that fits your vehicle. Air filters, tires, seat covers, and more. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
With approved credit, call 866-243-4623 for details. JT's Jeep Ram has the largest Jeep inventory anywhere. When other dealers are charging thousands over, you
So many people here are getting real lasting joint pain relief from QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics has changed my life. I would recommend QC to anybody. The work that QC Kinetics did paid off exponentially. It brought me back to an effective age of almost in my 20s and 30s. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge regenerative medicine, natural biologics from your own body, precision treatments that can restore and repair damaged tissue in your aching joints with no meds, no steroids, no drugs, and no downtime. I got a very quick resolution to my pain. It is a all-natural therapy. They're using you to fix you. I got my life back. I got my smile back. And best of all, I got my laugh back. Don't live with that pain anymore. And don't let them tell you surgery is your only option. Learn more about regenerative options from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Call now for your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. 803-281-6860. This update is sponsored by AAA Heating and Air, home of the $1,500 buyback. AAA Heating and Air.
Play 18. Yeah, and remind me, you wouldn't think it's for soccer.
From the Chevrolet studio.
Yeah.
This is 1075 The Game. Stop by, shop online today, and see why Herman Chevrolet makes you smile.
18. 18.
I love watching those guys play on offense and defense. Coach Stoops and staff are going unbelievable job recruiting. You can tell they've recruited for body type, especially on defense. Athleticism, toughness, football IQ, you can tell. Very, very smart guy. It's such a tough defense, and they're where they're supposed to be. I know they got out of some gaps with some tempo stuff last week against Ole Miss, but that's a rarity. You know, you go back for years, and I mean, they're where they're supposed to be in coverage and fitting the runs, and it's just it's beautiful. If you're a football purist, it's beautiful to watch.
That is something that Mark Stoops really has done to South Carolina over the last few years is just, I think, both physically and mentally dominate South Carolina with his defense against the Gamecock offense. I think it was Perry Orth who talked about the defense that Kentucky started running under Mark Stoops, and it was more of a 3-deep safety look. And it actually kind of challenged Steve Spurrier. That's why you saw Spurrier struggle with it in 2014 and 2015. If you remember in 2014, my years are getting mixed up. I think that's the year South Carolina went up to, I'm thinking correctly. That's the year that South Carolina went up, and Mike Davis that night ran for, I think, about 183 yards because Kentucky just sat in a 3 deep and took Dylan Thompson's deep ball away. So they allowed South Carolina to run it. And if Spurrier would have just stuck with the run, maybe South Carolina wins that game. In 2015, it was Perry Orth that came in the second half after Kentucky had injured Connor Mitch and had been able to take away South Carolina's deep passing game. And the Gamecocks started running the ball in the second half and throwing short passes and dinking and dunking down the field, but they weren't able to pull it off. And in 2016, 2017, I think it was those 2 years where South Carolina really struggled because, again, they sit in this zone defense and they make you dink and dunk. You've got to, as Perry Orth has said, you have to be willing to take the short passes, and Jake Bentley really struggled against that, trying to throw the ball down the field into those zones where Kentucky is very disciplined and very good at playing defense. So we'll see how Marcus Satterfield elects to attack it tomorrow or Saturday night. Obviously, last year, just 10 points. Now, I know Zeb Nolan was playing, but South Carolina had a million opportunities and couldn't take advantage of them. I mean, you go back to, again, mind messing with me. I think it was 2017 that I think South Carolina had all those turnovers early on in the game and couldn't take advantage of it, and Kentucky ended up just wearing them down. I believe that was still the Benny Snell game where he ran 32 times for 102 yards in 2017. So, you look at the way Kentucky has been able to control this game. They've done it a lot defensively with the way Mark Stoops lines up, and it'll be a challenge tomorrow night I keep saying tomorrow night because I feel like it's Friday. I feel like we're right on the verge of a fun weekend, but we have one more day to go.
Should we maybe put some type of a calendar
Wouldn't
in
work.
the studio?
I can just go ahead and
today is.
That would be cool if we had it on the scroll thing up there, but I would still find a way to mess that up. Let's let somebody else talk that is probably much smarter than I am. Let's get out to the Love Chevy Fun Lunch. Rod, you got a tough job. You got to sound smarter than I. Go ahead.
That's not a tough
I'm
job.
gonna try to, but I think you're a little smarter than me. Sound like it. So, but anyway, man, I'm gonna cover. It's something you caught my attention. That's why I call in. You were saying you was talking about this team got a chance to go 3-1 in the next 4 games. Bill, to be honest with you, if they win Saturday, I predict them going 4-0. And let me tell you why. They get past this Saturday and beat Kentucky. The OC got 2 weeks to prepare for Texas A&M. Okay, Texas A&M, you don't know what type of team you might get coming into Carolina in 2 more weeks, because number one, they play Alabama. Alabama probably gonna beat them up. Number two, man, the coaching that they got ain't no telling where his head gonna be at. You know what I'm saying? This team could come in like last year, the Florida that came in when they was about to fire their head coach. So I'm predicting 4-0. And here's another thing. If this team go 4-0, guess what? This OC coming back next year. And you said it, and I'm saying it too. He will be back. Him and his goofy play caller will be back next year. I don't care what nobody says. With a new contract extension and more money, he's gonna be back. But my last thing, I'm gonna get off the phone because I know you finna get off. Did you watch the SMU and
UCF game?
UCF game last night?
I called it turned into a blowout. That game, I watched the beginning to hear some of the discussion about what's going on with SMU and the players that are choosing to sit out so they can transfer. Mm-hmm. So I caught a little bit of it. Obviously, it was a close game. SMU actually led at halftime, and then when Central Florida got going there in the third quarter is when I turned it off.
But you did watch the play calling though, the SMU play calling
of Garrett Riley, yeah.
The offense. Yeah. Oh my goodness, man! I had to stand up like, this is what everybody. Because you know what I'm saying, when I watch a game, I watch it, but I don't watch it intently where I'm watching how the plays are setting up for the next plays. And I'm saying, okay, this is what we need now. Man, I would love to see that kind of offense at Carolina. What do you think about everything I said? I'm going to get off, man. Thank you for taking my call. Y'all have a good day, okay?
Yeah, I appreciate the phone call. I mean, at the end of the day, SMU scored 2 touchdowns last night. I get where you're going with that, but SMU got beat 41-19. Now Central Florida scored. I think it was 31 unanswered there. The game again, if you didn't see it, it was 13-10 at halftime, and Central Florida got going. Gus Malzahn with his play calling got going, and they ran SMU out of the building. But let's not anoint Garrett Riley there as just a savior just because they only scored 2 touchdowns last night. They did have 400, and I'm just looking at it because I wondered after thinking about how many total yards they had. They had 476 yards last night in that game and only had 2 turnovers. But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of different ways to accomplish what you want to accomplish on offense, and maybe South Carolina can find a way. It'll start on Saturday night. We'll talk with J.C. Shurburtt about that coming up. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Gamecocks, Braves, the NFL with live local radio. 107.5 The Game, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia, a Cumulus media station.
With approved credit, call 888-411-7640 for details. JT's Dodgeland has the largest Ram, Charger, and Challenger inventory anywhere. When other dealers are charging thousands over, you save thousands at JT's. And get 1.9% financing. Bumps or even craters in your credit? Forget it. When other dealers say no, JT says yes, you're approved. Drive the Ram, Charger, or Challenger of your dreams. Get 1.9% financing and let JT get you approved. Dodgeland on Greystone, jtsdodge.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for
All right, especially I guess here. All right, with the ooze, spooky season is here. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Spooky season is here. That's going to be a disaster. I'm not going to do that. In 3, 2, it's the way the script is thing. Yeah, I need some water. I'll do that. 3, 2, 1. Spooky season is here, and there is nothing scarier than dirty, dingy. Can't they just have a regular script? Why can't they just have a regular script? All right, I got to get this done before we come back. Ready? In 3, 2, 1. Spooky season is here, and there's nothing scarier than dirty, dingy, crunchy carpet under your feet. We'll cut this later because then I just read the next part that says like, it literally, and for whatever reason, all right, yeah, we'll cut this later. What a script. And I've just lost my script.
Actually kind of happy that the live stream, was able to experience that.
That's probably the best outtakes we've ever had.
Yeah, trying to think how I can work with that now.
What?
Trying to think how I can work with that for some promo material.
Well, because then it says, but it's, I think it's in the background. It says, background VO. What does that mean?
Oh, like there should be, in the voiceover, there should be a wah-ha-ha-ha sound effect. Okay, well, they can produce that.
I never read the script before I have to cut the spots. So sometimes I get thrown off, but that's the most thrown off I've ever been.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, especially when you're talking about, about your dinghy getting cleaned by the carpet cleaners. That was amazing. Okay. I got to call JC.
Call JC.
Holy guacamole.
Today's phrase of the day is I have no clue. 107.5. If you say I have no clue, this means I don't know. In fact, I don't even have any idea.
I'll show you what I found upstairs. Oh, hold on a second. I want to see that. But I also want to tell you something that was pretty darn funny.
803-404-6100 if you want to join us, or you can go to our live stream where we just had a multiple outtakes as I'm trying to cut a commercial during the break and could not read the script. And I think Craig, Chuck, Larry, David, they all had quite the laugh. Everybody on the live stream enjoyed me trying to read a zero res spot that I've got to cut for a commercial and did not even come close. So I'll continue practicing that off air. I do want to let you know that Heath Klein will be at Columbia Craft Brewing Company tomorrow, Friday, from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Columbia Craft Brewing can be your game day headquarters, 520 Green Street. Columbia Craft is proudly distributed throughout the Midlands by KW Beverage. So go join Heath Klein for game time tomorrow, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Columbia Craft Brewing. Again, make them your game day headquarters over on 520 Green Street. Columbia Craft, proudly distributed throughout the Midlands by KW Beverage. Oh, the silliness. Let's continue the silliness. Joined now by JC Shurburtt of the Big Spur.com. And Now, you didn't get to be a part of that live stream a minute ago where I could not read a script. Reading is difficult, JC. Playing quarterback, difficult if you've got an injury. That's what I've been talking about this morning so far, the injury or the unknown injury to Will Levis now and how this impacts the game as it appears Kentucky may be without their starting quarterback. What you read this? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Bill, it's kind of late-breaking rumor news last night, I guess. And I don't get on these Twitter spaces because I think they're dumb, but I guess the Bears, for game day, got on there, right, and started talking about it. And the Bear is kind of connected to the point spreads and all that. Most of the online sportsbook took the game completely off the board. And it was Kentucky minus 10.5 or something like that, and then it came right back. And it was Kentucky minus 6. And so it moved quite a bit. You kind of think they probably know something. Credible Kentucky media outlets have said, well, he's questionable. He didn't practice yesterday, but they would lean toward him not playing. I think that's a huge deal when you're talking about this game. Now, I've been kind of preaching all week that South Carolina can go there, compete, and win the game with Levis playing. I don't know what Kentucky's going to do on offense if he can't play. The guy behind him, his name escapes me. I'm actually in the car heading to Lexington. Got the dog and Theon with me. I don't think he's reported any stats this year. So very redshirt freshman. So reminds me out of high school, reminded me of Colton Gauthier in Western Carolina a little bit. But when you take Levis's arm talent and mobility off the field, that's a big blow to that offense. And I've also been preaching this all week, Bill. This is not Kentucky lineup, run it 40 times for 230 yards. They've got, you can ask anybody that covers that program, and I think Gamecock fans have completely missed this. Their offensive line is not what it has been, and it hasn't been all year. They've been worried about it. Plus, their starting right tackle, I think, is going to be out. Now, I think there's a 5-star true freshman that's going to replace him that they got in recruiting out of Indiana last year. But, that's a big deal because and people don't understand that either. It drives me crazy. Rodriguez will just line up and run all over Carolina. If you don't have to respect, and I think you got to respect it, but if you've got a young quarterback back there that they won't have to do too much, you can really scheme your way into stopping the run. The problem with stopping the run, sometimes you got to respect the pass too. And I'm not saying they won't have to, but I think this will really limit what Kentucky's offensive coordinator can dial up creatively and try to attack the Gamecocks downfield, which is what Kentucky's been doing all year. They haven't been lining up. And running it over people like people.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And you said it, I think you said it on Tuesday when we talked about Kentucky being in a transition there with their offensive line. This isn't the typical Kentucky team. I think it's been a little glossed over this year. One, because they did beat Florida, and they beat Florida the week after Florida had that huge win against Utah. Two, because Kentucky got all the way up to number 7 in the polls, and I think we tended to say, oh, yeah, that Mark Stoops really knows what he's doing. I think as you start to break down this Kentucky team, and there are flaws there, more so than some of the Kentucky teams we've seen in the past. That doesn't make them a bad team, mind you. I think they're probably a top 25 team or a fringe top 25 team. But JC, it really comes down to coaching to me, and having your team, having South Carolina both offensively and defensively prepared, and you wanted that starting on the defense because of the Will Levis situation. South Carolina's got to be able to come out and be prepared. If it is a backup quarterback, you still have to stop the run, because if Will Levis is indeed out, if he does not play, if this turns out to be true and he does not play, then you've got to make the backup quarterback throw the football around and rely on what they've been successful with this year, which has not been the run game.
No, they've been really good at getting the ball down the field to their playmakers. Everybody was worried last year in Kentucky land about losing Wandell Robinson, who certainly was a special player, but they went out and got Tavion Robinson from Virginia Tech portal, really good receiver. freshman, Barry Brown and Dane Key, who Gamecock fans will remember, because Carolina recruited him. Those guys are playing above their age this year, especially Brown, who's an explosive athlete, and they're still going to try to get the ball in their hands. It may just be a different thing. And that's the thing, too. I think, I always stress every team's different every single year. Every game's different. Every week's different. And I'm stunned that Gamecock fans are still like, oh, my God. Well, the backup quarterback always kills it, or this, that, and the other, or blah, blah, blah. I mean, Will Levis doesn't play tomorrow night or Saturday night. It's a godsend, for Carolina. You're talking about the guy that people are talking about being the number one pick in the draft. Now, I don't buy that, but he's a huge part of their offense, just in terms of the throws he can make. Now, maybe he'll play. Questionable's questionable, right? That means he could play. Who knows? Just maybe some gamesmanship. Even if he does, I think Carolina's still got to go up there and be aggressive on defense. This defense gets the turnovers, tips the balls, plays with a different energy when they're aggressive and attacking. And I read some other stats that I'm not buying it. I don't know who's watching the film that said Carolina blitzes more than anybody else. Maybe they send 5 instead of 4 sometimes, but I think when they get after it, whether you call it a blitz or not, this year it's been a different defense. Sort of what they did against Georgia, where they kind of just sat back. I think you die a slow death against just about anybody that way. But these guys, I think at South Carolina, they like to get after it, force turnovers, and it builds a lot of momentum on defense. And even though you're on the road, you got a shot to go in and do it because, like I said, if Levis doesn't play, that's going to take a lot of what Kentucky does off the table.
803-404-6100 if you want to send a text in. We'll get to that. J.C. Shurburtt joining us as he does. So you're on the road to Kentucky. Is that what I understand? You're on the road, the dog, the fiance, everybody heading down to Lexington for the game?
Yeah, it's I usually try to go to a home game and a road game every year. I haven't gone to a road game the past 2 years because of the pandemic and stuff, but I haven't been to Kentucky since 2010. And I was in the press box that night. That was a great night, right? And I've always missed the Keeneland thing. It's always either been on a different date or, going for work. And so I'm going to do the Keeneland thing this time. Should be beautiful weather. Going to hang out with some old friends and have a blast.
We'll continue talking with JC. Make sure he gets there safely. Hopefully, we'll talk with him and more. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, and JC Shurburtt. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Here's what's coming up on the next Extra Point.
Where are we on Will Levis on this show? Oh, boy. Overrated. I think he was a great addition to Kentucky's offense. Like, I think he was and is an upgrade in a lot of ways for them. But I think we have now gone, it was like ESPN was like, we're going to make this guy into a top 5 pick.
I mean, Todd Blackwood said on the broadcast he might be the number 1 quarterback in the draft. And I was like, the number 1 quarterback taken in the 6th round? Like, what are you talking about?
It's almost like he's like a member of like a political party where they're like, this is our candidate.
It's
and he's being like, we are going to prop him up.
Is he being backed by Big Mayonnaise?
There you go.
The Extra Point with Pearson, Preston, and Gamecock Central. 9 a.m. to noon on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. 107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
Clemson Road near Sparkleberry Lane, we have a report of an accident there. Also working an earlier tie-up, Hardscrabble Road at Wilson Boulevard. I-26 eastbound at Sunset Boulevard. I-126 westbound after Greystone Boulevard. There apparently had been a car versus deer, so there's a little cleanup yet to do there, so be careful. Working that earlier accident, Kelly Mill Road near Bombing Range Road and Highway 378 near Pineview Road. Great forecast on tap in the 80s for the next couple days, low 80s. 82 today, 84 tomorrow, and then we're in the mid-70s for the weekend. Right now, kind of nice, 52 at 107.5 The Game.
This is Boomer Science with the CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. Philadelphia, the NFL's most balanced team, tops by power rankings, followed by Kansas City, which impressively beat Tampa Bay, by the way. Buffalo showed something rallying against Baltimore. Green Bay's offense will soon improve, as San Francisco's recently has. Cincinnati with back-to-back wins now. Tampa Bay, Minnesota, and surprising Dallas. And, of course, the defending champion Rams round out my top 10. I'm Boomer Science.
Football season is underway, so now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back. If your first bet doesn't win, just sign up with the promo code WIN. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. So sign up today with promo code WIN for your no-sweat first bet. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Must be present in state where lawful to wager. 21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit fanduel.com/RG. Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. Arizona 1-800-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Indiana, Kansas 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com. Louisiana 1-877-770-STOP. New York 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789. Wyoming, West Virginia 1-800-522-4700 or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net.
Sponsored by Indeed.com. As the leaves change, leave the hiring to Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Is your old car really scary? Are you frightened by how much you owe? Gotta go to Galliano. Galliano Kia on Greystone can get you out of your old car and into a new Kia with 0 down and 0 payments until next year. And we'll beat any price, anywhere in the USA. Send us a screenshot of the best price you can find, and Galliano Kia will sell it to you for less. New 2023 Kia Forte LXS, just $19,799. Sign and drive. Not a lease. You own it for $289 per month with 0 down and 0 payments until next year. Gotta go to Galliano. Galliano Kia on Greystone. I-126 Zoo exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or KiaColumbia.com. Reserve right to validate comparison price. Forte stock number 3K1513. 0 down, $289 per month for 84 months at 5.99% APR. Price plus tax tag includes $225 closing fee. Negative trade equity financed in new loan. Subject to lender approval. Expires Monday.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Mid-State has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them, Mid-State twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, midstateroofing.com.
This football season and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecocksOnline.com.
Swept by warm trade winds and soothed by the sound of the surf, Fripp Island Golf and Beach Resort remains an escape for guests of all ages. Fripp Island Resort is home to 2 breathtaking golf courses, a full-service marina, professional racket club, outdoor pool complexes, outstanding restaurants, and more. Enjoy over 3 miles of unspoiled, uncrowded beach when you discover the simple seaside serenity of Fripp Island Golf and Beach Resort. Book your vacation rental today at FrippIslandResort.com.
South Carolina fans, this is the Kerry Jordan. The Garnet Trust is connecting fans like you with athletes like myself through NIL deals. Head on over to GarnetTrust.com to find out how you can support me and my teammates for as little as $10.
Titus and Tate, a podcast from two obsessed basketball lovers.
Donovan Mitchell is going to the Cavs. The Cavs have basically given the Jazz everything. I need you to explain this to me. Anytime a trade is one guy for like 38 things, my brain is too stupid.
Oh,
Time now for the old-timey meat market clip of the day. On November 3rd, 2018, the Gamecock football team won on Wild when the Knoxville 48-44. As we mentioned a few times recently, these old teams will carry on us on our old-timey clip of the day. No different at Ole Miss. Here are time. Here's one ball to get kicked off, and it's a long line drive.
well,
At the 20, 10, 5, touchdown Carolina. Touchdown Deebo Samuel. 90 yards. That's how you started off at 11 a.m. on the road in the Southeastern Conference. Boom.
I'll tell you one thing. I didn't realize we had so many fans here, though, Todd, because we all look like we dressed the same, but we must have 3,000 or 4,000 fans here. Wow.
They saw a familiar sight. His first of the year, his fourth ever. Deebo, all-time kickoff return leader. The last one he did was, of course, against Missouri for 97 yards a year ago.
The thing that happened there was the drop of the ball. We got everybody out of the sync a little bit, got them out of their lanes coming down defensively, and that allowed our blocks to set up. And a little bit of hesitation, a little patience, and then once he saw the hole, he was gone.
And that's our old-timey clip of the day, sponsored by Old Timey Meat Market, with 3 locations: Lexington, South Congaree, and St. Andrews Road in Irmo.
All right, we got him back. I told him just to project more.
Casting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. The Early Game
With Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen
on your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
I want to let you know that if you listen throughout football season, you have a chance to win tickets to each and every home football game from Carolina Honda Powerhouse, your source for Honda Power Sports. Visit them on the web, carolinahonda.com. Again, that is the Carolina Honda Powerhouse ticket giveaway. We'll certainly have some, not next week, I believe, because it's bye week, but we'll have some the following week for Texas A&M. So continue to listen to 107.5 The Game for your chance to win tickets to each and every game from Carolina Honda Powerhouse, and you can visit them on the web, carolinahonda.com is how you can do that. JC Shurburtt joining us as he is on the road to Lexington, Kentucky. And all right, JC, everybody wants to talk about the offense, and this is a test. I mean, you know, I've given the numbers. We talked about it on Tuesday. South kind of struggling out of the gate, and at some point, you've got to just show us. Marcus Satterfield has to show something different, right? You've got to take the next step, and that's where we've had some callers and text message come in on our phone lines this morning that, you know, it's at some point you have to do it. You've got to take that next step forward. This seems like as a good a chance as they're going to have.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, the chances of victory, no matter who plays quarterback for Kentucky, are slim unless the offense clicks. Right, so this cannot be your standard only 2 touchdown drives performance, you know. And quite frankly, Bill, South Carolina's better than that. They're better than they've played on offense just about the whole year. I sort of agree with Marcus Satterfield that I don't sit there and want to completely dismiss scoring half 100 on the previous two teams, even though they weren't very good. Just because, the bottom line is that, that's not going to do much for your ranking or your perception, right? But it does help your players get in some rhythm and get some confidence, right? Obviously the stakes are going to be higher. This is a much better defense than Charlotte or South Carolina State. It's probably a little better than Arkansas, to be honest, because the Hogs are, had a decimated secondary. But, one thing Kentucky does not do that well is get sacks and rush the pass. They don't have the pass rushers like they do. They have an elite linebacking core that's going to be missing an elite player in Jaquez Jones. And then they have a very opportunistic secondary that I sort of like better than most secondaries out there. So South Carolina's going to have to, Spencer Rattler's going to have to hit the open guy, make the correct decisions. They're going to have to try to run the football somehow. Ole Miss had a pretty good success rate running it the other day. Go out there and play like you're capable of, and all that. That should be the theme of the offense for the whole year. Is play like you're capable of, get the ball in your playmakers' hands. You see another dumpster fire type performance on offense Saturday night with this type of opportunity in front of you. It's going to probably get a little ugly on your airwaves next week, in my opinion, with the fan base.
Well, and it goes into a bye week. It leads into a bye week. I mean, this is, as I was saying in hour number one, it's funny how football seasons, all these thoughts and opinions, we spend all summer. You and I have done this. When I worked with you at thebigspur.com, and you know how it goes. You kind of come out of baseball season, you finish up the spring, you come out of baseball season or whatever, and you start like really breaking things down, and we start having all these grand ideas about how the season is going to play out, who's going to do this and who's going to do that, and how the schedule. Well, now you kind of
it never happens.
It doesn't, and now you kind of look, and I don't think South Carolina's. I think Tennessee has separated themselves. We'll talk about Tennessee and LSU. Tennessee may be the fifth best team in the country. I'm interested to see them against them, but you may have Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and Tennessee as your five best teams.
Have you seen Tennessee play defense?
But you know what? They can score. They can score.
They can score with anybody, but they make Florida look like an offensive juggernaut.
Yeah.
And I think we can all agree Anthony Richardson was embarrassingly hyped for 1 week.
Right.
And then 21 incompletions against Kentucky. He lit Tennessee up like a Christmas tree. I mean, and they just lost the starting corner. But you're right, Bill, about their offense. I mean, it's fast, it's furious. Hooker is an outstanding player. They had good receivers, including Jalen Hyatt from Columbia. So I think you could be right. I thought you were going to say fifth best in the SEC.
No. I mean, look, to me, you go back to that Florida game, and Florida put up some points late. They had that good second quarter, and then they had that weird. I don't know how you would explain it, because not only that, I think in our pick'em I had Tennessee to cover that spread, and Florida put up.
I did too.
Yeah, Florida put up the points late. I'm with you on that.
I don't think Florida's a good football team. They're 2 plays away from being one.
But
I just don't think they're very good.
Well, and so to go back to the point, if you can get the offense going, all of a sudden the schedule isn't as difficult as maybe you thought at the beginning of the year. This Kentucky team, obviously you're catching them where they're probably not going to have their starting quarterback, and they look like they're in a transition mode. I don't know what you make of Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M, the talent on the roster is far better than South Carolina, but it's a situation where that talent is not being coached up and reaching their maximum talent level. Then Missouri's very beatable, and it's at home. Vanderbilt, obviously, you are more talented than. And then you just mentioned it, Florida on the 12th. I guess it's interesting to look at the schedule now as we hit the halfway point and say, okay, wait a minute. I'm not sure that it's as difficult as maybe we initially thought. These games are winnable if you can develop an offense that is competent and you can keep your defense off the field. And I guess the next part of that, if we talk about a competent offense, the next part to complement that is a defensive line that can stop the run, right? That's the next part.
Well, the defensive line has to have a good game Saturday night, obviously. And they need to affect the passer, especially if it's a young guy. If it's Levis, they really need to affect the passer. The D-line, it's not all up to them to stop the run. I mean, a lot of times your tackles are supposed to engage the guards so they don't get to the second level. Your linebackers need to, make the play. I think Sherrod Green and Brad Johnson sort of are what they are. Sherrod's probably still working his way back slightly. I think Brad just sort of is what he is. Frankly, I'd like to see some other linebackers in there. They miss him and they were counting on him. But, and when I say that, I mean like along. Stonebland's got to get ready to get play. I think to get the depth there. I like what I've seen out of Bam Martin Scott the last couple of weeks, too. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. The thing that would scare you if you're the Gamecock defense is Chris Rodriguez can break tackles as well as any back in the country. And he's had huge games against Carolina every time. So I don't know what the Gamecocks did to tick him off, but he can get after it. And that scares you. But, the offense really has no excuse, Bill. I mean, they should at least go up and move the ball and play like they're capable of doing. It's going to be a sad day in Columbia. Let's say the Gamecocks go there and lose like 13-6. That's going to be. I think at that point, you just it just sort of is what it is, and you adjust expectations. You're talking about the schedule. I agree. It's like that every year. Everybody all off season before 2017, which is Muscham's second year, they're like the schedule. Even I said it too. And then, Tennessee got fired, Florida got fired, A&M got fired, Arkansas got fired. Wofford did not pull the shocking upset, About the only two good teams left for Clemson and Georgia. So that's kind of how it is every year. You just got to give it a go and go do it. That's what's sort of frustrating about the extreme negativity this week and the refusal to even look at the other team and to just assume that it's like, last year, and then say Kentucky, they're going to do the same thing, and not even look at it. And that's been kind of frustrating as I've done the work this week. It's just like I don't understand why people aren't interested in learning about the matchups rather than just assuming. Because as we all know, if you assume in this game, if you are married to the transitive property, that's when if you're a gambler, you're going to lose a lot of money. Or if you're, talking and trying to be intelligent about it, you're probably going to fail.
We'll continue talking about this, but we'll look at the college football weekend that will be with JC. A couple interesting games. We mentioned that LSU-Tennessee game. Get his take on that. You're listening to JC Shurburtt, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Our 15th anniversary celebration on 107.5 The Game
is sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, getting you better sooner.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game and the new 107.5 The Game app. 107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass.
I kind of agree. Tennessee, I think, if I had to do a top 10 of the most impressive teams, or I should say what I would have right now, I'd have Tennessee up in there. I don't agree with JC on their defense. I think their defense is fine. But, yeah, I mean, I'd have, honestly, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan. I'd have Southern Cal. I'd probably have Oklahoma State in there, Tennessee, Mississippi, and then Clemson at 10. I don't think South Carolina can compete with Clemson or Tennessee, but I think the rest of them they can compete with. I think they, can be competitive with, but the offense has got to just make so many strides, which I just don't think it will. But I think they can be competitive with those teams. But yeah, I mean that's just like I said. You look at You look at Tennessee and Clemson; those are the two teams South Carolina really doesn't match up well with, and be massive, maybe 3 touchdown underdogs. Even Tennessee at home, but the rest I think are competitive. Oh, there was a tweet about that.
Right for you. Go to joinNUimage.com now and use promo code radio to save 20%. That's join the letters NUimage.com and use promo code radio to save 20%. Go to joinNUimage.com and save 20% with promo code radio. It's hunting season and huge choice in West Columbia has got possibly one and then some at great prices, sold to you by a staff that's friendly and knowledgeable. Choose Choice in West Columbia is the place for you. Choose Choice is all you need for done.
Yeah, that's actually.
Great selection of hunting rifles, ARs, and This is the best hunting season ever. With Shooter's Choice. Make it your first choice. Your best choice. Shooter's Choice.
I don't know how this works.
Get 1.9% financing and let JT get you approved. .com/JT Stocks.com. Employee onboarding automated. Automated. What if you automate all your company's routine operation tasks and do it easily?
Automated.
With Zapier, you can. Zapier is the leader in no-code automation. Connect over 5,000 apps, automate almost any workflow, and streamline your team's performance without hiring a developer and with no coding required. That's right. Zapier's templates make it simple for you to automate anything in minutes, no matter your level of expertise. Zapier eliminates routine tasks and frees your employees to focus on the bigger picture. And with Zapier's advanced security features and annual SOC 2 audits, your data is safe and secure. See why thousands of companies, including Slack, Salesforce, and HubSpot, trust Zapier to automate their businesses, even complex tasks.
Automated with Zapier.
Try Zapier for free today at Zapier.com/radio. That's Zapier.com/radio. Zapier.com/radio.
One continuous freshness that fights odors with no batteries and no outlets. Try Free Small Spaces. Ah, but what's a small space? To answer that, we brought in our lawyer.
Small spaces include but are not limited to. Bathroom, closet, laundry room, kitchen, headquarters, man cave, she-shed, most and all training.
There you go. Free Small Spaces is the world's most convenient. Free Small Spaces is super convenient and never stops freshening. 45 days.
Dr. Ocasio's lab startup just discovered a gene therapy breakthrough cells that already don't need an updated research system. Where his breakthrough breaks them and he can help them hire people fast. Indeed, you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates who resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 for sponsored job.
Your local radio stations are here for you. No subscriptions or monthly fees necessary. We're here to give you the news, weather, and traffic you need, and the music you love. But if foreign owned record labels get their way, it could stop the music. We want Congress to force radio stations to pay them more money simply to play their music. Don't let radio go silent. Text local to 52886 and tell Congress to protect local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
CRS Corporate and Air Gut City, the most trusted and reviewed cleaning company in town. Hey, fans, with all sales going on now in 3 rooms apartment for only $119 for each week. Don't forget 1075 today. Easily schedule your cleaning online at touriscolumbia.com.
What we're talking about on 1075 The Game.
Sponsored by Mike Shurburtt.
7:37 on your Thursday morning. Bill Gunner, JC Shurburtt, as we get you up and get you going on what should be a very nice Thursday here as we kind of get set for the weekend. No college football tonight. You got an NFL game. And for the first time this year, I can honestly look at the Thursday night NFL game and go, I'm not sure I'm going to catch that one or go out of my way. The Colts and the Broncos tonight from Mile High, Empower Field at Mile High, Denver, Colorado. Colts, Broncos, Matt Ryan, Russell Westbrook. Russell Wilson. Russell Westbrook would be pretty cool playing quarterback for the Broncos, but it'll be Russell Wilson for the Broncos tonight instead of Russell Westbrook. That would be, again, very interesting. But Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson tonight. So you got that. No college football last night. Again, SMU falls 41-19 to Central Florida. Wrapping up, we'll do one more segment here with JC here as he is heading down to Lexington, Kentucky. But let's take a look here at the weekend schedule. And JC, let's go to that one game that I was kind of talking about. Tennessee is at LSU. It's a noon game. This is a big spot for LSU. They can really put themselves on the national map. They can really say that they've bounced back from that loss to Florida State in New Orleans to start the season if they can find a way to beat Tennessee at home tomorrow at noon. The Volunteers, I think if they go in and win this, you really start to talk about them as they get Alabama next weekend. I mean, that game really gets hyped up if they're able to win this thing.
Yeah, historically, Tennessee's played pretty well down at LSU. I remember Fuller getting a big win down there one year where they came back. I think they were down 27-3, 130-27. And then there was the most Derek Dooley game of all the Derek Dooley games where they won, but had 13 people on the field on defense. And then LSU scored a touchdown with no time on an untimed down and survived. But Tennessee plays pretty well in Baton Rouge over the years. And I think it'll be an interesting game. I think the key for Brian Kelly's team is they need to stay on the field, run the football. I said this last year when Carolina played Tennessee. You beat a team like Tennessee with your offense, and you stay on the field, and you dominate time of possession. And then, they get a little frustrated, start to press because they don't have as many points on the board. And then they go 3 and out. And then their defense gets ransacked and tired. So that's what LSU is going to have to do to win. I think it's to their advantage that they've already played Mississippi State and beaten them. That's another kind of, unique style of offense, so to speak. So it should be a heck of a ball game. But you're right. I will say this about Tennessee. They go down there and win, and then they got Bama coming in. That's going to be a big moment for that program.
It'd be huge. I mean, Josh Heupel, year 2. I will say here, let's tie this in with the next game. Texas and Oklahoma. Oklahoma is going to be a little lenient with Brent Venables, but he loses to Kansas State. He gets just hammered last weekend by TCU. You let Texas put it on you, and Oklahoma starts looking around at former quarterback Josh Heupel thinking, offense is a little bit more attractive than defense. Things can get dicey for Venables. That's the Red River rivalry shootout tomorrow. Or I keep saying tomorrow. I'm so ready for Friday. It's in Dallas there at the Texas State Fair, JC. Neither team are ranked. This is a big one for both coaches, in my opinion, Sarkisian and for Brent Venables.
I have a feeling Oklahoma's going to respond and come back. They got ambushed last week. TCU, credit Sonny Dykes and their quarterback, Matt Duggan, and Garrett Riley, their offensive coordinator. They're doing something like, they get, I think the stat 7 yards or more on 80% of their first downs. I mean, you get 7 or 8 yards on first down, you got the whole playbook, right? And you got Dykes and Garrett Riley dialing them up. So, and good skill talent. So since Oklahoma got ambushed, Kansas State's sort of one of those teams that kind of like, I guess Tennessee if you're Kentucky, because as bad as Tennessee's been for the last 10 years, and as much as this is like the golden era, the first golden era since Bear Bryant or Jerry Claiborne for Kentucky, Tennessee still owns them. Kansas State's won 5 out of 7 against Oklahoma, and I think 3 straight in Norman now. So they, I think that game was in Norman. I don't know. So this year, but it's something like 3 straight at Oklahoma. So I think Oklahoma bounces back and beats Texas. I think the problem with Texas that you have in this game is they probably think OU's down. They're going to read their press clippings, and you know that their big problem is they're soft as butter. And when a soft team does not get ready to go play against a team that's kind of wounded, most of the time they get hit in the mouth and lose. And I think that'll happen this Saturday. That said, nobody bet any money on that because I've been wrong all year. So that's just my take on it right now.
2 games that typically would be a lot of fun have monstrous lines tomorrow. 3:30, Georgia and Auburn. 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Texas A&M is a 24.5-point underdog on the road. Remember when we thought Jimbo Fisher versus Nick Saban was going to be a lot of fun and game day would be there and they'd have a Jello wrestling contest between Fisher and Saban before the game? Game day will be in Lawrence, Kansas for TCU, Kansas. That's what we all remember. That thing we just said in the previous segment about how the football season plays out, JC. Yeah, here you go. This is the perfect example of how it plays out differently because in mid-July we thought it'd be game day at Tuscaloosa. Nope, it's a 24.5-point spread. Just real quick thoughts on A&M, Crimson Tide, and Auburn, Georgia.
I'll tell you what could be interesting is that Bryce Young does not play for Alabama. You know, A&M sort of fell apart on defense against Mississippi State last week. But, I mean, you want to talk about somebody owning another team. Mike Leach, I think, 9-4 in his career against the Aggies. And Mississippi State, I think, 2 games up on them since they joined the SEC. It's another one of those things, as Carolina people, you sit there and think the Aggies are some top of the mountain type team, and they're really a 7 or 8 win team most years. They will be again this year. But their defense was leaky last week, but I think they're really good and well coached on that side of the ball. DJ Durkin's good. If they can bottle up Malone, Alabama's backup quarterback, assuming he plays, and that takes a lot away from the Tide's offense because it's an RPO heavy thing. They like to get into their playmakers. The receivers, but they're not just they run the ball. But Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have to go off. And A&M, up until last week, played pretty good defense. And, you know, last week A&M's offense turned it over. So that's the difference there. So I think if Bryce Young doesn't play, Texas A&M could cover. You know, it kind of just feels like Georgia, after 2 weeks of playing way below their capability, will rally against Auburn. And again, Georgia's owned Auburn for like 10 years. So we'll see what happens. But, you know, I think if you're Auburn, you know, you probably to be sitting around scratching your head if you pulled the upset because that means more Harsin, right? And I think they're ready to move forward.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. JC, safe travels to you. Hope you get down there safe. Hope you enjoy tomorrow. Keeneland, right? That's what you said. Tomorrow, the horse track, or is that Saturday?
That's tomorrow. Keeneland, my first time going, and you do a little bourbon tasting later.
Okay.
Mixing in waters as normal.
There you go.
But certainly excited to get back to Kentucky. Like I said, it's been about 12 years. So looking forward to getting up there.
Enjoy the trip, buddy. Enjoy the bourbon. Enjoy the racetrack, and we look forward to catching up with you next Tuesday.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too. Take care. JC Shurburtt on this. Wait, that's if you're wondering why it sounded the way it did. Yeah, what would you say? There is a law on that, Jen, that we were talking about down in over in Illinois, where
Illinois and Indiana are hands-free.
Hands-free, yeah. So JC abiding by the law while heading down to Kentucky for the game this weekend.
And props to him, depending on where he was, which I'm assuming at this point, you know, he's on 65, and that track between like Chicago and Indianapolis, it's terrible. You get, you know, I have mad respect for semis, have no problem with them, but there's so many on there and you can get kind of stuck behind a group. And then you got, you know, the people that you just want to mow out of the way, like that right in the left lane, so that it's terrible. Like I'll take country roads all day long to get past that section of 65. So bless him for not only focusing on the road, on a kind of a yucky stretch of highway, but doing so and sounding even more coherent in his assessments of, different games coming up than sometimes you do sitting in here, with your water.
Thank you. Appreciate that. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in this morning. We get back out to Love Chevy phone lines when we return. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5 The Game.
Game time with Heath Klein.
A 2-point play in the first quarter feels unnecessary, but a play like that also is one of those things that you put it on tape and you force an opponent to account for. An opponent going against a Pete Limbo coach special teams is going to need to really be aware that putting that stuff out there forces an opponent to be aware of it, forces them to account for it.
3 to 6 p.m. on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
Clemson Road near Sparkleberry Lane, still have an accident there. Also, remnants from a car versus deer incident, getting that cleaned up. Corley Mill Road at Highway 378. Out towards Chapin, Dutch Fork Road near Three Dog Road, an accident there. Hardscrabble Road at Wilson Boulevard, also an accident. I-26 eastbound at Sunset Boulevard. Kelly Mill Road near Bombing Range Road, that is in the cleanup stages. Reimer Pond Road near Longtown Road, there is an accident there as well. Highway 378 near Pineview Road, be careful there with an incident. Watts Hill at Highway 1, and one other car versus deer incident, Lower Richland Boulevard near Coral Hill Road. Great forecast on tap. Low to mid 80s today and tomorrow, and then we drop into the low to mid 70s for the weekend. Very nice. It is 53 at 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by South Carolina Education Lottery. The Mega Millions jackpot for Friday is $410 million. Be sure to stop by your local South Carolina Education Lottery retailer and get your ticket today. See sceducationlottery.com for jackpot odds and a store near you.
Life matters. Sir William Parry of England was a 19th century explorer who came closer to the North Pole than anyone of his time. In fact, no one would get closer than Parry for over 50 years. On one expedition, he took a sighting and began pressing north with his men toward the pole at good speed. He stopped hours later to recalibrate, but he was further away from the pole instead of closer. An accomplished navigator, it was not likely that Parry had misfigured. He corrected course and set out again. After 2 hours, he was further away than when he started. What Parry didn't know was that he was on an ice floe that was moving south faster than he was moving north. He was literally taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Life is deceiving if you're standing on the wrong foundation. This is Pastor Stephen Chitty. Visit us on the web at ChristianLifeColumbia.com. And remember, friend, life matters, and so do you. Go to CLColumbia.com for in-person and live streaming service times.
It's hunting season, and Shooter's Choice in West Columbia has everything you possibly want and then some at great prices, sold to you by a staff that is friendly and knowledgeable. Shooter's Choice in West Columbia is the place for you. Shooter's Choice has all you need for dove and deer season. Check out their great selection of hunting rifles, ARs, and much more, plus top-end accessories to complement your purchase. Make this the best hunting season ever with Shooter's Choice. Make it your first choice, your best choice. Shooter's Choice.
This football season and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecocksOnline.com.
Back with Travis Bedson, the owner of CNT Foundations. Seeing cracks in your foundation walls or have sticking doors and windows? Listen up.
Homeowners, these problems won't just go away. You need professional help, not a professional salesman. At CNT Foundations, we're real, local, general contractors that provide solutions that last a lifetime.
Call 803-805-8044. CNT Foundations, your foundation experts.
The wait is over. New Chevys are on the lot now, and more are on the way to Herndon Chevrolet. These vehicles are in demand and selling fast, so don't miss out. Stop by your hometown Chevy dealer and shop all your favorite models at prices you'll love. Find new roads at Herndon Chevrolet or visit us online at herndonchevy.com today.
Herndon Chevrolet,
turned and makes you wanna smile, smile.
If you're thinking about retiring soon, be sure to tune in to Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby of Preservation Specialists. Join Pat as he talks about the latest trends and headlines that could impact your retirement. Don't go into retirement unprepared. Listen each Sunday morning.
Good news, y'all didn't miss anything. I was able to cut the zero res with no problem. The fourth take, I believe.
There's nothing like hearing the songs you love on local radio. No subscriptions and no monthly fee. But there's a new bill in Congress that could stop the music. If passed, this bill would tax your local radio station simply to play the music you love. Text local to 52886 and ask Congress to support local radio stations. Help us keep you connected to the music, local news, weather, and traffic that you need each day. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters. This update is sponsored by AAA Heating and Air, home of the $1,500 buyback. AAA Heating and Air must clear out its warehouse before new government efficiency regulations go into effect in 2023. No deals will be turned down. Call today to get a new unit tomorrow at 803-677-5000. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. It is 1075 The Game. Stop by, shop online today, and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. With Bill Gunter and Shannon Jensen on your home of the Gamecocks. The early game, 1075
$803-404-6100 if you want to weigh this morning. You can also join us on our live stream where they have been discussing the injury news to Will Levis, which has caused the point spread to drop from about 10.5 or 11 down to 5.5 or 6. Coming up in about 25 minutes, Brian Edwards, a Vegas insider, will join us to talk about this. Kentucky Sports Radio's Matt Jones last night, the one that put it out as it pertained to the injury, which is not this. It has nothing to do with the dislocated finger that he has suffered, the non-throwing hand dislocated finger that he sustained in the Ole Miss game. This is a different type of injury that is Will Levis has suffered. And usually when you see a lot spread, he has not been ruled out. I know Kentucky Joe, I think, hit us up and said that he was ruled out last night, but I've yet to see anything where he is specifically ruled out for the game. With that in mind, when you see a line drop that much, and there's already talk of the backup quarterback, you got a feeling that Will Levis, if he does play, is still going to be very limited into what he does. Maybe that'll be able to help the defense a little, as we'll talk more about that in the next hour. Let's get back out to those Love Chevy phone lines. Got about a minute left. Ray is up next, and speaking of the defense, he wants to talk a little bit about that. How you doing this morning, Ray? What's on your mind?
Hey, doing good, Bill. Yeah, I understand everybody's, coming down on our offense and our offensive coordinator. I kind of get it. I mean, it's not hard to figure that one out. But I think in this game, I really think our defense has got to lead the way, because Stoops, regardless of Will Levis plays or not, he's gonna look at the film tape, and I know that's old talk, and I don't say you can call it that anymore. But he's gonna look at the last games and say, well, how did we beat this team 7 out of the 8 last times we played them? We just played smash mouth football. So I really think our linebackers have got to step up a yard. We got to do a lot of zone kind of blitzing to disrupt their running game. And for God's sakes, we've got to play edge containment. Our defensive ends have got to protect that outside and quit slanting inside every play, it seems like. But anyway, I really think the defense has got to lead the way in this game, because they are going to play smash mouth football, regardless. Like you said earlier, I don't care if they bring Terry Bradshaw back. They're gonna say we're gonna whoop Carolina's butt at the line of scrimmage. So to me, that's where the challenge has got to be. But thanks for letting me speak.
No problem. Thank you for the phone call, Ray. Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to South Carolina's defense. South Carolina's defensive front four has to stand up and have a play up to their capability, or they haven't been bad. I wouldn't say they're bad, but they've been average at best. And maybe that's being generous. And maybe if you say average at best, maybe that does equal bad. But they've definitely got that group. Zach Pickens. We'll see if Boogie Huntley is back. You can hear Shane Beamer tonight right here on 107.5 The Game, 6 o'clock. Carolina calls, and I'm sure he'll address the injury situation Darius Rush and Darius Rush and Dylan Wanham are the two that are due back. David Spalding still questionable, and a guy that you want to hear about tonight, certainly in that nickel spot. And then Boogie Huntley is a big one. They need him back to pair on the inside with Zach Pickens. Brian Edwards from Vegas Insider coming up at 8:20. We'll be joined by Kerry Tharp coming up at about 8:40 this morning. Plenty to do. One more hour to go. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Celebrating our 15th anniversary is Columbia's Sports Talk Station, sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
WNKT-FM, Eastover, Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
A Cumulus Media Station.
If you have an IRS problem, getting accurate legal advice could help get all this behind you right now. Hi, I'm local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. To get the best results for our clients, we stay on top of the law and the IRS rules and regulations. It's important to us to get you back on track and in compliance legally without worry for your future. At the Ecton Law Firm, we've handled hundreds of cases for everyday hardworking people like you right here in the Carolinas. Don't face the IRS alone. Know your legal rights. Call me to set up your appointment. The first visit is completely free and confidential. You'll meet with a licensed attorney in person at our office in Irmo, just off I-26. If you're facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call me, John Ecton, at 803-771-9800. That's 803-771-9800. Or go to EctonLawFirm.com. Carolinas, if you have an IRS issue, you need a local attorney. You need me.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but what about the nose? How do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons: sinusitis, colds, allergies, snoring, things that make it hard to breathe through your nose. But over time, they find that cleaning their nose makes them feel better, a lot better. Over 3 million Navage users have written more than 100,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars, saying, "Best product I've ever used," and "Amazing, I love my Navage." Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less, but the biggest payoff is improved health. Navage is good personal hygiene and can help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose.
Holy Schnitzel! Oktoberfest is back. October 7th, 8th, and 9th. 3 days of food, fun, and entertainment for the whole family. Come savor schnitzel and brat sandwiches, giant pretzels, German beer and pastries. Bring the kids for games, prizes, and live German music. Join us October 7th and 8th from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. and October 9th from noon to 6. Incarnation's Lutheran Church's Oktoberfest on Divine Street at the Greystone Church with the red doors. Admission is free for sinners. Proceeds benefit Lutheran Services Carolina.
Attention, anyone shopping for a new Jeep, turn up your radio now. Announcing the special order $1 sales event at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone. Here's how it works. Visit Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone and order the exact Jeep you want. Put just $1 down. Plus, we'll give you a $1,000 special order discount. No limitations, no exclusions. Just order any Jeep model, any Jeep trim level, and it's yours for just $1 down and $1,000 off MSRP. Best of all, your price is locked in and you're protected against a Jeep price increase. Other Jeep dealers are charging tens of thousands of dollars over MSRP. But right now, you can order the exact Jeep you want for just $1 down and $1,000 below MSRP. Gotta go to Galliana. $1 down, $1,000 below MSRP Jeep sales event at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone. I-126 Zoo Exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or GallianaSC.com. Example 2022 Jeep Wrangler. $1 down, $618 per month for 60 months at 4% APR. Plus tax and tag includes $225 closing fee. Expires.
What we're talking about on 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet, your trusted family-owned dealership since 1961. Love Chevy, I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Find new roads.
It's time for your chance to win $100 and qualify for the $25,000 grand prize in our $25,000 signing bonus contest. Just text the following national keyword to 95819. Your national keyword to text is
E-T, collect, as in you're going to collect a lot of money if you'll text this in, COLLECT.
Keyword to 95819. Standard text messaging rates may apply. Please don't text and drive. The $25,000 signing bonus contest on 107.5 The Game.
The early game with Bill Gunter.
So we have Bill doing some housekeeping right now. Pretty fantastic. I'm like, little to the left, little to the left, little to the right, up a little bit more.
Yeah.
and Jen Jensen.
Decorating the studio at 6:37 in the morning. You're listening to Bill Gutter and Jen Jensen. If you're watching on the live stream, you're seeing us entertain ourselves by trying to move a flag around and get it stuck to the wall, and that led to.
But then the right was down a little bit. It's like you gotta get it level.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
You're not going to believe this.
107.5.
He killed 16 Czechoslovakians. Guy was an interior decorator.
The Game.
Get up.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in this morning, be a part of the program. Coming up here in just a few minutes, you can hear Brian Edwards and his Vegas Insider picks. You can visit vegasinsider.com or majorwager.com to get all the scoop on the games coming up this weekend. Should be another interesting weekend for college football. We'll get into a little bit of the schedule this hour and talk about that. Again, the news of the morning coming out of Lexington, Kentucky. This came out about 10 o'clock last night. It was Matt Jones with Kentucky Sports Radio reporting that Will Levis is questionable for the game Saturday night. He has an injury different. This is according to the tweet. The tweet says he has an injury different than the finger, which he dislocated on his non-throwing hand on Saturday. He says it's an injury different than the finger that isn't long-term serious but could leave him out. He is a game-time decision. Kaya Sharon, I believe is how you say his name, will be the quarterback if he cannot go. Kentucky head coach Mark Stoops said on Monday at his game week press conference that the Wildcats are banged up, but Levis' name was never mentioned as one dealing with an injury. So we'll kind of see what exactly happens there as it pertains to Will Levis. The fact that the point spread has dropped so much is certainly something that you keep an eye on. I think it's down to 5.5 or 6, depending on where you look at. So obviously we'll need to keep an eye on that. That could be a very big part of this coming weekend's football game if Will Levis can't go. Again, the South Carolina defensive line has got to play much, much better if Will Levis can't go, in terms of stopping the run, stopping Chris Rodriguez as he comes back. It'll be his second game back. He did have 72 yards rushing last week against Mississippi, and that's where the South Carolina can really force a backup quarterback into some issues if you can stop the run, and that defensive line has got to step up. Gilbert Edmond has actually been a bright spot there, filling in for Jordan Strawn and being able to play a lot better. So we'll kind of keep an eye out on that as we go through today and tomorrow, the injury situation to one Will Levis. So that's something that's, again, I think maybe as the day goes on, we'll get more and more information about. I mentioned that schedule for the coming weekend, and we talked a little bit about no game tonight, by the way. 4 games tomorrow night: Nebraska, Rutgers, Houston, Memphis, Colorado State, Nevada, UNLV, San Jose State is your Friday night schedule. Saturday, though, Michigan, Indiana, Tennessee, LSU, TCU, Kansas, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Texas, Oklahoma are kind of your headliners for the 12 o'clock portion. Texas, Oklahoma, obviously soon to be an SEC matchup, SEC conference game. That's a big one for both Brent Venables and Steve Sarkisian. It's probably a little bit bigger for Sarkisian, as now they're a 6.5 to 7 point favorite, and Oklahoma really needs to get out and win that football game. Brent Venables is not on the hot seat, mind you, but after 2 games and 2 losses to Kansas State and TCU, people in Norman are not going to be particularly thrilled if Steve Sarkisian's able to come in and win that ball game. And if Sarkisian loses, there's going to be a lot of angry Texas fans that will wonder how you lost to a guy who right now is struggling to beat Kansas State and getting absolutely thumped by TCU. So a big game there at the Cotton Bowl between Texas and Oklahoma. That game will be noon on ABC. One to keep an eye on. The other one that I'm really excited about, Tennessee at LSU. It'll be a contest to see just how good Tennessee is. They've got that win over Pittsburgh, but I don't know how good Pittsburgh is now. They've got the win over Florida. We don't know how good Florida is right now. So what exactly is Tennessee? They go on the road to Death Valley there in Baton Rouge. We'll see if they're able to pull out a victory. Again, that'll be one that's pretty entertaining. And then maybe a sneaky good game. I don't know. TCU and Kansas. Kansas knocking off Iowa State last week, 14-11. I never in the world would have thought that Kansas would be hosting College Game Day, but here we are. Kansas will host College Game Day on Saturday. I do like that move from Game Day going to a different venue somewhere as opposed to going to Tuscaloosa for A&M and Alabama or going to LSU where we've seen them in Baton Rouge for Tennessee, LSU. I like the move there to get out and go somewhere a little bit different. That should be pretty fun. But that's really your big noon games. Arkansas trying to break the 2-game losing streak to after they lost to A&M, and then Alabama. They travel to Mississippi State, the SEC Network noon game there between the Razorbacks and the Bulldogs. And then I mentioned Michigan, number 4 in the country, and looking pretty good so far. Had no problem with Iowa last week. They'll go to Indiana for the Fox noon game as well. Wolverines and Hoosiers. 3:30. It's not a bad setup of games. Auburn at Georgia. The Bulldogs are a huge favorite. 29 points, 30 points, depending on where you look at. That'll be the 3:30 CBS game. Texas Tech is at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State quietly moving up the polls. Mike Gundy certainly doing some good things there in Stillwater, continuing to – never would have thought he would have stayed that long in Stillwater. Never would have thought. Thought for sure he'd be somewhere else, but he's got Oklahoma State up to number 7. They're coming off that big win over Baylor last week. One ranked versus ranked matchup at 3:30 on Saturday. Utah at number 18, UCLA. UCLA quietly under Chip Kelly, just winning football games. It's ugly. They beat South Alabama by a point. They trailed, I think it was Bowling Green earlier in the season or whomever they played, another MAC team, mid-major team, and they were trailing in that one. Came back and won. UCLA quietly getting the job done. They knocked off Washington last Friday night. Now they're back in the polls. Again, Chip Kelly, the coach out there, and they are number 18 in the country. They will host number 11 Utah. And everybody's kind of forgotten about Utah after their opening week loss to Florida, but Utah back up to number 11. A win here could potentially put them inside the top 10 this coming weekend. The other 2 other afternoon games, Ohio State's at Michigan State. Michigan State having a really rough year. That huge contract to Mel Tucker. We'll see if he can get them back on track, but he's got an opportunity to do so. 4:00 ABC, the game time for that, Ohio State, Michigan State, and number 9, Mississippi, traveling to Vanderbilt, SEC Network game for that one as well. One kind of under the radar game at 4:00. Not first ranked, but North Carolina and Miami. North Carolina actually having a little bit better year than maybe we anticipated. Miami, well, they got a bye week after being beaten by Middle Tennessee last, 2 weeks ago. Oh, boy. Miami needs to win that one. They've now lost to Texas A&M, then lost that game to Middle Tennessee. We'll see if the Hurricanes can get things done. 4:00 ESPN2. That game down in Miami Gardens down at Hard Rock Stadium. Might want to keep just a little side eye on that and see what happens there as Miami, all that momentum with Mario Cristobal, 3 straight losses would put a little bit of a dent in that. The night slate, about South Carolina and Kentucky. We also have Clemson at Boston College, Washington State making the trip down to Southern California. BYU and Notre Dame will hook up at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Kansas State on the road at Iowa State. And I mentioned Texas A&M at Alabama. Oh, boy, it could be an ugly one there if Alabama chooses to make it ugly. And one other one just to watch, Florida State. All right, Seminoles are not back, but I still think they're playing pretty good. They travel to number 14, North Carolina State. North Carolina State, some people were labeling them because of the way they've played, not because of their record, but the way they've played is one of the bigger disappointments of the 2022 season. They're still ranked 14th. We'll see what Florida State can do with them in Raleigh on Saturday night. 803-404-6100. We'll get back into more of these games. Let Brian Edwards make his picks when we return. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The Halftime Show with Jay, Terry, and Tommy.
Noon to 3.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game. 107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
Hardscrabble Road near Clemson Road, still cleaning up that earlier incident. Lower Richland Boulevard near Horrell Hill Road, a car versus deer incident. Also working on an accident, Reimer Pond Road near Longtown Road. You'll find one Watts Hill Road at Highway 1. And traffic lights currently malfunctioning, Platte Springs Road at South Lake Drive. Forecast looking pretty good for the next several days. We are looking for a high today of 82. 84 tomorrow, and then low to mid 70s for the weekend. It's nice right now. We have sunshine. It's 52 at 107.5 The Game.
This is Boomer Science with the CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. All right, the Lions slither into my feeble 5 at number 28. You'd think 45 points would be enough to win, but nope, not for the Lions. Pittsburgh lost the first ever Wilson-Pickett matchup to the Jets. Carson Wentz can't command an offense. Chicago's passing game is brutal, and Houston, well, has nowhere to go but up. I'm Boomer Science.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, an oil change with full synthetic oil like Valvoline Advance can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $36.99. Find your solution for better fuel efficiency today at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Come on, we're going to be late to the cookout.
I was just packing up my famous mac and cheese.
I hope you packed the Pepto, too.
Huh?
Pepto-Bismol provides fast relief from heartburn and indigestion. You know, that uncomfortable feeling after you eat too much. And after the deviled eggs, baked beans, and barbecue ribs, you're going to need it.
Barbecue ribs? I should probably pack an extra shirt, too.
Good call.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto-Bismol. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Sponsored by South Carolina Education Lottery. The Mega Millions jackpot for Friday is $410 million. Be sure to stop by your local South Carolina Education Lottery retailer and get your ticket today. See sceducationlottery.com for jackpot odds and a store near you.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil supports your daily digestive health.
You know, you got to remember, though, the last time Kentucky had a backup quarterback, it turned out pretty good for South Carolina. Got to think about that time, not what TJ Finley did. Oh, goodness.
$110 per month. Level rate for 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rate for 20 years. If you're a smoker, there are great rates available for you as well. Call Term Busters for a quote. 1-800-908-7636. You're probably paying more than you should. Call 1-800-908-7636. Remember, call Term Busters.
This is what happens when you have a morning without coffee.
And whether you're in the market for a traditional mine diamond or for one of these amazingly lab-grown diamonds, we've got you covered. Because whether you're buying mine or lab, we'd be happy to know that it's produced. We guarantee the trading value of both kinds of diamonds in our store. So if the day comes, if you want an even bigger diamond, we'd be happy to give you full value you pay for the original when you trade it in. Even better, we have over 1,000 diamonds.
We gotta get a coffee pot here, a Keurig. So, well, mornings like this where I completely forget.
Only tradition finds here. South Carolina Diamond destination on Sunset and Lexington and at the Fountain in Sandhill. Where the business you can get. If you're thinking about the diamond, be sure to tune in to City Building Center. That's really a preservation specialist. Jordan said, he talks about the latest trends in midlife that could affect your retirement. Don't go with retirement unprepared. Listen each Sunday morning at 10. The City of Retirement. That's your need. Preservation specialist. Offers insurance services and investment advisory services. Other retail establishments. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by, shop online today, and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. The early game. On your home of the Gamecocks, the early game.
105. Remind you to go and visit Heath Klein this coming Friday, tomorrow. I'm all confused on my days. This coming Friday, join Heath Klein for Game Time, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Columbia Craft Brewing Company, your game day headquarters. You can visit them at 520 Green Street. Columbia Craft is proudly distributed throughout the Midlands by KW Beverage. Again, tomorrow. That'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, according to most calendars. You can join Heath Klein for Game Time, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Columbia Craft Brewing. A great time, great experience out there. Fun way to start your weekend. Go visit them, 520 Green Street. Columbia Craft, again, proudly distributed throughout the Midlands by KW Beverage. Let's get out to our Love Chevy phone lines, where our good buddy Brian Edwards, a Vegas insider, is waiting patiently. And the first thing he says is, feel free to call me out about how my horrific picks were last weekend. Was it? I'd have to go back and look. They're actually right above here as I kind of glance. You get one of those every once in a while where things just go sideways on you, Brian. It looks like you got Kentucky. Arkansas didn't go your way. Baylor, I was with you on that. Baylor was rough. Cal was rough.
Only one more went my way. UAB Rice over.
Okay.
The rest of them were bad.
Okay. So yes, feel free to fade this week is what Brian is saying, or you can follow along. And let's start with one that you're not picking. You didn't send as your game of the week, but Kentucky Sports Radio, Matt Jones reporting last night the Will Levis information, and that caused this line to drop like a rock. What do you know? What can you share with us on what you're hearing? And when you see a point spread move that much, 6 points, typically that means Will Levis is even though he's listed as questionable, that probably means he is out, correct?
Yeah. So, well, he's not out. He's a game time decision.
Well, I mean, when you see a line, you're right. He's not been ruled out. I apologize. Let me be clear about that. But when you see a line move that many points, Brian, does that usually indicate to you that the people with closer sources are figuring out he's not going to play?
Yeah. When sharp guys in Vegas are now, where it's legal in 30, whatever we're at, 35, 36 states. If you see, movement by a point, maybe even a point and a half, a lot of times that can just be some heavy action. But so I looked early yesterday when I was starting my Gamecock Central column for Brian Shoemaker. I looked and it was 10.5 at most books. This was like lunchtime yesterday. And I got sidetracked with all kind of radio and stuff going on throughout the course of the day. So I was going back to the column. It was like right as UCF and FAU were kicking off, and I noticed it was down to 10, and there were even a few 9.5. And this is before KSR's Matt Jones had tweeted. And then I went about writing my column, and I got done an hour later. And before I hit send, I went to look at the line, and because I had gotten a text from a friend saying he heard Will Levis might not be able to play. And so that made me, want to go back and look at the line. And I'll be darned, at that point, it had moved to 7 or 7.5. So I tweeted that the line had moved, and that I had heard a couple hours ago that Levis might not be able to play. But I said no UK media is reporting that. I looked all on Twitter. Nobody from Kentucky was reporting that. And then about 15 minutes later, I saw Matt Jones's tweet, and then it went from 7 or 7.5 quickly down to 6 or 6.5. And I sent out a couple of tweets about that. And then the next thing you know, it's down to 5.5. I'm texting with Shoemaker, and he's like, just send it to me in the morning. Who knows what's going to happen now? So, and then, what Jones had said, game time decision, and it's not related to the dislocated finger on his non-throwing hand that he played through last week. Sorry.
Real quick, just you watched Kentucky play your Florida Gators. You're familiar with them. Just breaking the game down, not making a pick on it. Will Levis being out, and what you know about South Carolina from obviously doing this radio show and also doing stuff with Gamecock Central. What is the impact of that for your opinion for this game with how you've seen South Carolina play defense and also Kentucky getting Chris Rodriguez back? Just how much this really does impact this game overall.
Well, I thought Kentucky looked a lot better with Chris Rodriguez last week. I got to be honest, I don't know, and I don't think many people around the country know much about Kaya Sharon, or I guess that's how it's pronounced. I mean, that's who is going to get the start if Levis can't go. So, I mean, to me, when I don't know a quarterback and he basically has zero experience, and you're going about from a guy who, now I know he had 2 fumbles in the red zone late, but this guy's, probably going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. To me, that's normally like a 6-point difference. And, it was 10.5 and that, but there is that chance, that Levis is still going to play. So I don't think the books, are going to go all the way that far in terms of a 6-point difference, but we see books at 5.5. So we already see a 5-point difference. So I believe, if Levis gets downgraded to out, it'll come down further. If he gets upgraded to playing, I think it'll shoot back up toward 10. So that's the gray area we're going to be in probably all the way until 30 minutes before kickoff.
He's Brian Edwards joining us as he does each and every Thursday to discuss what he sees as his picks for the week. Not taking South Carolina and Kentucky there, obviously a lot to be figured out. But let's get to some of these picks here. Let's start with your favorite, your top pick of the week, and that is North Carolina State, coming off of that loss to Clemson last weekend up at Memorial Stadium. Florida State, they come off the loss at home in Tallahassee to Wake Forest, and they make the trip up to Raleigh, and you like NC State minus the 3.
I do. They're in a nice bounce back spot here. They've owned FSU lately. They've won 4 of the last 5, and the 3 most recent wins came by margins of at least 14 points. They went into Tallahassee and won 28-14 last year as a 3-point road favorite. Devin Leary threw for 314 yards and 4 touchdowns. NC State's defense is 14th in the nation in total defense, 15th in run defense, 19th in scoring D. They're only giving up 15.4 points per game. The Noles are dealing with several injuries. 3 starters are questionable. Wide receiver Ja'Kai Douglas is out. Jared Verse played last week, but did not look like he was 100%. NC State has won 13 games in a row at home, whereas FSU is 3-7 straight up in 10 road assignments under Mike Norvell. I like NC State as my favorite play.
There you go. So there's his favorite play. That's his favorite. Let's go through a few more that you like here. Alabama, I feel like it's going to be a name your score game. Although in games like this, sometimes Nick Saban pulls the dogs off, doesn't completely embarrass somebody. So you like him in the first half to jump all over Texas A&M. You've got the Crimson Tide minus 14 first half.
Yeah, I'm going to go Bama minus 14 in the first half, and it doesn't matter to me if Bryce Young doesn't play and if Max Johnson plays instead of Haynes King. Excuse me. It'll be better for us if Bryce plays and Haynes King, who's turnover prone, go. But I still like it even if the worst scenario happens, which is not that bad of a scenario. Milroe looked good to me last week. His first significant playing time of his career on the road. They'd blown a 28-point lead. It was a one-possession game. And he rips off the most important play of the game with that 70-plus yard run to set up a touchdown. And he looks like he's a guy that maybe can't throw like Bryce, but can certainly make big-time explosive plays with his legs. And that's good enough for me with the talent around him. A&M's at the end of a brutal 5-game stretch. They lost to App State. They got completely outplayed by both Arkansas and Miami, and then they got run out of Starkville. So they're 2-2 in the last 4. They could be 0-4, and they're going to get beat down this week. But I prefer it in the first half when we know Alabama starters are going to be in. Too many times I've seen Bama with backups blow, get backdoor covered with their backups in late. I hate when that happens. So I'm going to go Bama minus 14 in the first half.
Florida, they are hosting Missouri. Florida trying to get on track a little bit. We were talking about them earlier. They're minus 11. Missouri gets, they had an ugly loss, just the way they played. The whole game was ugly against Auburn. But last week, competitive, maybe should have won that game against Georgia. They're minus 11. And you like Florida hosting Missouri minus the 11.
Yeah, Missouri's got to be so deflated here. I mean, you have just commit a comedy of errors at the end of regulation and in overtime to somehow lose that game to Auburn. And then the top ranked favored by line got up to as high as 32 at some books before kickoff. Then coming off that horrible loss, then you top ranked undefeated defending national champs. You lead basically the entire game. You lead by double digits for most of the game, even early in the fourth quarter, and then lose when the defense runs out of gas. And the offense really started hurting when their best receiver, Dominic Lovett, who leads the SEC in receptions of 27 and receiving yards 460, he had to leave the game second half, couldn't return, and he's very iffy to play this week. which also factors into my handicap here because I don't have much confidence in Florida's defense. But Anthony Richardson has his confidence back. He's thrown for 453 yards at Tennessee, 240 in basically one half of play last week, and he had a 45-yard run in his only rushing attempt. I think Florida's offense has its confidence back, particularly Richardson, and they are, in a nice flow now. Now, I do worry about a backdoor cover because Florida's defense is soft, but I still just think it's a bad spot for Missouri. I think they're going to be without their best receiver, and I think Florida wins by 14 or more.
Again, he's Brian Edwards joining us as he does. Follow him on Twitter at Vegas B Edwards is the way to do that. Let's get through a few more of these real quick here. James Madison is James Madison the feel-good story of college football? Does anybody aware that James Madison is playing college football? They took out App State. That App State game was crazy, by the way, because I think I just happened to see App State was up 28-3, and they ended up losing 32-28 a few weeks ago. James Madison is minus 11 at Arkansas State this week. That's one. Go into a little bit of detail because it's an under-the-radar game when you talk about two lower-level FBS teams, but you like James Madison, first year at the FBS level, minus the 11 at Arkansas State.
Yeah, not only are they winning games, they are dealing out pimp slaps. They're 4-0, both straight up and against the spread. They beat Middle Tennessee 44-7, and that's a Middle Tennessee team that went to Miami and beat the Hurricanes by double digits. They beat Texas State 40-13 last week. Like you said, they won outright in Boone over App State. The Dukes are ranked number one nationally in both total defense and run defense. They're ninth in scoring D, giving up only 13.8 points per game. Their QB Todd Centeio has thrown for 913 yards, 11-1 TDI-NT ratio, and he also had team high at 252 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and he's averaging 5.6 yards per carry. Arkansas State under Butch Jones, they've only played 5 Sun Belt home games. They're 1-4 straight up. I think James Madison deals out another solid win by double-digit margins. I'll take James Madison minus 11 for the game, and I'm going to take them minus 7 in the first half.
Let's stick with one more college game that you have a lean to, or you maybe need to give a little bit more of a breakdown. LSU, Tennessee, noon game on Saturday. LSU, you like plus the 3, but you mentioned you're a little worried about Tennessee. Go into a little bit of breakdown. Again, this is one that I would say, just reading how you've got it worded, you're a lean to it. Very small play. Again, let's reiterate your favorite, your top play of the weekend is NC State minus the 3 at Florida State. I think sometimes people think all the plays are the same. This one's a little bit different. Go into a little bit of a breakdown on that one.
Yeah, so I only played this for just a very small amount, just worried it might move off of 3 to like 2.5. I want to play more on it, but I'm just scared of Hendon Hooker. And Jaden Daniels did leave the game last week. Now they're saying he's practiced all week and he's going to go. But, and look, Tennessee gets off to fast starts. I'd really like for Tennessee to get off to a decent start. Me see that Daniels is okay, moving around good the first possession or two. And if Tennessee gets ahead and I can get a live bet with LSU catching a few more points, preferably like at least 7, but probably even at 6, I would bite. I worry about Hendon Hooker, but I think LSU at home, in their last 5 as a home underdog, they're 4-0-1 against the spread with 4 outright wins, including Mississippi State. And that's a very good Mississippi State team, in my opinion, this year. And Mississippi State led for 3 quarters, was up 13-0 quickly. So we'll see. I lean LSU. If I get a chance to bet it live at even a better number, I'll do that. And I have just a very small little bit of LSU at plus 3.
There you go. And one other quick lean. Again, it's you got to understand it's a smaller play. Mississippi minus the 17 there. You like that one as well.
Yeah. I just think they're going to be too much for Vandy. Slightly worry, that was a 60-minute battle, real physical game last week. But and Vanderbilt's had 2 weeks to prepare. But there's no look ahead. I mean, Ole Miss has got Auburn at home next week. That's not one they're like, we're focused on next week. No, you're going to Nashville, and I think they want to put on a show. So I'm probably going to be on Ole Miss as long as it doesn't move higher than 17.
He's Brian Edwards joining us as he does each and every Thursday. So just to reiterate, Bama, to give you a breakdown, Alabama in the first half, minus the 14. Florida, minus 11. He likes James Madison, minus the 11. And you said minus 7 in the first half. Is that what is it?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
For, that, and then small leans to LSU plus the 3 and Ole Miss minus the 17. And then his favorite college play of the weekend, North Carolina State minus the 3. Last one before we let you go, NFL game, Detroit and New England, the over of 45.5.
Yes. I had been playing Detroit overs. They're perfect 4-0. Their combined scores are 93, 52, 63, and 73. But I did not put it in my pick pack for Vegas Insider last week just because Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift, probably their two best players, had gotten downgraded to out. So it kind of worried me. And then they get 93 combined points with Seattle. And I just said I'm just playing Detroit overs until one doesn't hit. And look, we don't know if it's going to be Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, or Brian Hoyer for the Pats, but Bailey Zappi looked pretty good last week, and their game went over against the Packers last week with 49 combined points. So I'll go over 45.5, Detroit, New England, and I'm not going to worry about if there's rain or snow or cold weather or wind, and they might get Swift or St. Brown back, or they might not. I don't care. I've already played it over 45.5 Detroit.
He is Brian Edwards. There you go. Rain, no snow, no sleet, no ice, no whatever.
Nothing's preventing me.
There you go. All in 45.5. So a couple plays there. So I'd say that's another strong one there for you to go along with NC State minus the 3 would be your two major plays of the weekend. Brian, we appreciate your time each and every week. Look forward to seeing how your Gators do, how the Gamecocks do, and look forward to catching up next week for some more picks.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it and enjoyed it. And y'all have a great weekend.
We'll definitely will do. Follow him on Twitter at Vegas B Edwards is the way to do that. You can check out all his work on majorwager.com and Vegas Insider. Again, he's Brian Edwards, who joins us each and every week. Anything you missed, we will have those picks up on our podcast page, and Jen will get them out on the Twitter account as well. Come back. We'll talk a little more football. Kerry Tharp coming up in about 10 minutes as well. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
It's our 15th anniversary, and without you, Columbia,
this might be a polka station by now.
Our 15th anniversary celebration is sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, getting you better sooner.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
It's going to be a great weekend. South Carolina's on the road. Clemson's on the road. Maybe you've got an opportunity to get out and do some apple picking. I understand that's very popular out there. Maybe you want to go to one of those corn mazes or the scary, spooky Halloween haunted houses or something. But if you've been suffering from arthritis, if you've had issues with your knees, with your ankles, with your hips, or if you got issues with your knees and your ankles, it's really hard to run away from the scary chainsaw people at the Halloween house. You might want to get yourself fixed. And guess what? I've got a great way to do it. QC Kinetics. You can do it with no drugs, with no steroids, and with absolutely no downtime. It is a brand new, exciting way to treat pain, and it's all with advanced regenerative medicine that requires no surgical problems, no surgery, nothing like that. You can actually do it on your own. It's shots that you take. Call for a free consultation. Don't pretend like I'm a doctor and the one that tells you how to do it. Call for a consultation today, 803-281-6860. Again, that phone number for that free consultation to learn more about this breakthrough way of treating arthritis, of treating pain in your ankles, your knees, your hips, any of your joints. Call QC Kinetics today, 803-281-6860. That's how you can get in touch with them. Learn how regenerative medicine can give you your life back. Don't let not going to the pumpkin patch or the apple orchard or whatever it is, don't let it bring you down. Get yourself fixed. Get yourself back to living the life that you want to live. Do it with QC Kinetics. Amazing regenerative medicine. These great treatments that'll get you back to living the way you want to live. 803-281-6860. Call QC Kinetics today.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
Things slowing down a little bit out on the highways. That's good news, but we still do have a couple accidents to let you know about. I-20 westbound at 277. The right lane is currently blocked, so stay left. I-20 westbound at 277. In the cleanup stages, Bluff Road at Whaley Street. Also an accident, Emmanuel Church Road at Plant Springs Road. Hardscrabble near Clemson Road, an accident there. And we do have a report of traffic lights malfunctioning. Flat Springs Road at South Lake Drive. 82 for the high today, 84 tomorrow, low to mid 70s for the weekend. Just a great several days in the forecast. It's nice right now, 52, 107.5 the game.
With approved credit, call 866-243-4623 for details. JT's Jeep Ram has the largest Jeep inventory anywhere. When other dealers are charging thousands over, you save thousands at JT's and get 0.9% financing. Bumps or even craters in your credit. Forget it. When other dealers say no, JT says yes, you're approved. Drive the Jeep or Ram of your dreams. Get 0.9% financing and let JT get you approved. JT's Jeep Ram Lexington. JT'sJeep.com.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Mid-State has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them, Mid-State twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, midstateroofing.com.
This football season and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecocksOnline.com.
Hi, everybody. This is Woody Wyndham here to talk about Pioneer Tree Service. Pioneer Tree Service has more than 4 decades of helping homeowners maintain and manage trees on their property. Their skilled crew offers customized solutions that match your needs and budget. Tree trimming and tree removal can be dangerous. You need to trust the people that are doing the job. Before attempting to remove limbs, call Pioneer Tree Service for a free quote. They remove limbs safely and make sure that future growth is directed away from potential trouble areas such as roof lines and dry.
One of those weeks. It's not one of those days. It's just one of those weeks. Kind of. Yeah.
No matter where you live, the Gant girls can get there. I want you to call them at 803-794-8253.
Employee onboarding
Automated.
Customer support
Automated.
What if you could automate all your company's routine operation tasks and do it easily? Lead management.
Automated.
With Zapier, you can. Zapier is the leader in no-code automation. 5,000 apps.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's just, I don't know, the whole week. This has been a great trip. My phone is like, I don't think I can get a virus on it, but it's glitching up. So I've been a little issue on and then text messages you guys at Twitter. I must see the news. The news must be going on fall.
Yeah. Well, I have it still. I always crazy.
Yeah.
And usually, like, every time you have a spot or, sleep number of Tuesday, I have record those and send them out. I record certain podcasts, and every single thing I recorded today, somehow I missed like the first segment, so then I've got to go wait until the skimmer and wait till the segment is over with to go to the skimmer to pull it, cut that in. It's like everything's been 3 times as long today.
All right. This needs to be an ultra quick segment.
Yes.
That had to be a long break because I didn't feel like, I think I got out 34, but 7 minutes.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, it works.
Big thank you again to Brian Edwards for joining us from VegasInsider.com. You can also, again, check him out on MajorWager.com. Jen will have that up if you missed it. Again, his 2 big plays for the weekend. I would say the 2 that you need to focus on. He likes North Carolina State minus the 3 at home. against Florida State and likes the Detroit Lions, New England Patriots over 45.5. So we'll have that up if you want to catch that. Coming up here in just a few minutes, we will catch up with Kerry Tharp, president of Darlington Raceway, get his thoughts as the playoff rolls along. We have got one weekend left of the round of 12. The boys will be back in Charlotte this coming weekend, so we will catch up with Kerry Tharp here.
Another oval race, right?
Another oval. Yes, it's right. There's an R in there, Jen. It's called a roval.
What does roval mean?
It's a shape that's kind of like an oval, but it's got a hump in it. It's like a lump, more like it's kind of.
Oh, so there's a hill.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you go around in a circle.
You
except
jump
that one hill.
It's a jump, kind of what it is.
It's
Roval.
like a dirt track almost.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of like my buddy Mike Dukes, who's got his dirt bike racing track he's setting up. It's got some jumps to it. So,
Okay. Yeah, that's exactly because that's what those cars are built for.
Yeah,
jumping.
Yeah. It's exactly right. So there you go. So we'll catch up with Kerry Tharp here in just a few minutes and talk with him. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. I'm sure he's very familiar with all the jumps that are in most of the NASCAR
I
tracks.
would sure think so. Yeah.
803-404-6100. We'll also keep you updated throughout the morning as more information comes out about this potential injury to Will Levis, reported last night by Matt Jones of Kentucky Sports Radio. We'll follow up on that. You can hear Shane Beamer tonight right here on 107.5 The Game. 6 o'clock, it'll be Carolina Calls. Also want to let you know tomorrow night you can catch Tommy Moody and Justin Hall for the high school football scoreboard show. Every Friday night, 9 until midnight, scores, stats, post-game interviews with the high school coaches. Again, that'll be tomorrow night, 9 until midnight, right here on 107.5 The Game. Make sure you tune in, Tommy Moody and Justin Hall. Coming up next, we'll catch up with Kerry Tharp, get his thoughts on this roval race, as Jen says, up in Charlotte. It's the final race of the round of 12. We'll head into the round of 8. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, and up next, Kerry Tharp on 107.5 The Game.
Here's what's coming up
on the next Extra Point.
Where are we on Will Levis on this show? Oh, boy. Overrated. I think he was a great addition to Kentucky's offense. Like, I think he was and is an upgrade in a lot of ways for them. But I think we have now gone, it was like ESPN was like, we're going to make this guy into a top 5 pick.
I mean, Todd Blackwood said on the broadcast he might be the number 1 quarterback in the draft. And I was like, the number 1 quarterback taken in the 6th round? Like, what are you talking about?
It's almost like he's like a member of like a political party where they're like, this is our candidate.
It's a, you know,
and he's being like, we are going to prop him up. You know,
is he being backed by big mayonnaise?
There you go.
The Extra Point
with Pearson, Preston, and Gamecock Central.
9 a.m. to noon
on your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
If you weren't on the live stream earlier, you really missed a great effort by me trying to read the zero res spot. And I'll read it now and we'll see how it goes. I will make sure I say one word completely different than I said earlier. Yes, you hear Jen there. It is spooky season and there's nothing scarier than dingy is the word we're looking for. Dingy was not the word we used earlier. Crunchy carpet under your feet. Trust no one other than the cleaning experts at Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Trust me, I use them all the time. I believe in them. They've taken care of my household. They'll do the exact same. They'll be cleaning to save your home from the dirt monsters. There's over 1,900 Google reviews agreeing with me. They have a 4.9 star rating. So call Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning today. 803-262-4020. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for only $119 when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. Again, that's 803-262-4020. You can give them a phone call, get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119. All you need to do is mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. You can also schedule with ease online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
That was such an impressive spot. Now I've got to see if I can match that with this traffic report. I-20 westbound at 277. The 2 right lanes are currently blocked, so obviously traffic are really impacted in that area. 2 right lanes blocked, I-20 westbound, 277. Working on cleaning up an earlier accident, Bluff Road at Whaley Street. Also Cox Ferry Road at Highway 378. Emmanuel Church Road at Plant Springs Road. And Hardscrabble at Clemson. Great forecast on tap. 82 today, 84 tomorrow, low to mid 70s for the weekend. It's 53 right now at 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Federal Employee Program. At the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Federal Employee Program, they cover more federal employees, retirees, and their families than any other health plan. Now it's time to see what they can do for you. Learn more about healthy benefits at fepblue.org/wecan.
If you have IRS tax problems, it can seem like a vicious cycle that never ends, year after year. Just getting the mail can be stressful and overwhelming. Don't let it ruin your life. There is a solution. Since 2008, the attorneys at Ecton Law Firm have devoted their practice to the resolution of tax problems for individuals and businesses across the Carolinas. We have the knowledge and experience and are dedicated to the success of each client. We are local attorneys with local solutions. At the free initial consultation, we'll listen to your concerns, your goals, and explain the systematic process we use in solving your tax problem. From that initial meeting, you'll see there is a solution. We're dedicated to improving your life by solving your tax problems. If we sound like someone you want to work with, take that first step.
Okay. Get my pick ready. Where did I? Final segment as we are joined each and every Thursday at this time by my good buddy, Jen's arch nemesis, Kerry Tharp.
You just make up your own. You make up words. You make up narratives. That's how the morning has been, Kerry. I'll have to share that later. I have an outtake reel that's pretty amusing from this morning. Mm-hmm.
Pretty.
You know, every Thursday I say a prayer for you, Jen. I just know it's a difficult situation there.
Right.
It was interesting trying to read a zero res spot off air this morning. If you were on the live stream, you got quite a look into what it's like when I don't drink coffee in the morning, and that has been quite the mistake. that is we are 5 minutes away from making it through a full show with zero coffee. We'll see if I can hold up and make a good pick here. Final weekend of the round of 12, Kerry. We move into the round of 8 next week when they head to Las Vegas, but this week they're up in Charlotte. They're going to be, I guess, jumping over some hoops or some alligators, as Jen said, with the Roval race. But what did you take away last week? Chase Elliott's able to pull it out there in Talladega. Jen had Ryan Blaney, who was second. I had Hamlin, who was fifth. You had Joey Logano, who unfortunately only earned you 1 point.
Yeah, he just now finished, I think. Well, I tell you, I thought it was a very good Talladega race, Bill. You didn't have all the wrecking that you typically do over there, and certainly there at the end. We've seen so many Talladega races that have just gotten crazy there, and so much crashing there at the end of the race. We didn't see that. We saw some really good racing, I thought, some hard racing. I thought Chase Elliott really made a great move there the last half of the final lap and overtook Blaney, and Blaney did what he thought he needed to do to win the race. And both of them got help from some of their other competitors out there with some pushing. But anytime that your most popular driver wins a race, it's a good thing, I think, for the sport. Certainly down there in Talladega, that is certainly a hotbed of NASCAR racing. But Chase Elliott gets his 5th win of the season. As you mentioned, he punches his ticket to the round of 8, and I think he's probably asserted himself once again as somebody that's likely going to be in that championship 4 here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, especially with having not finished as well or, out early in the previous race, then things start to look dicey. But seems like, boy, if he starts to look like he's behind a little bit or down just a little bit, they can turn it around, no question.
They can for sure.
I was gonna. Who do you two? I mean, it feels like this is it's such a tight competition going into next weekend. Who do you two kind of like to win the overall playoff? Like, where do you stand? Right? Is there someone who's making a run right now, Jen, that you like in particular?
No, because really nothing's a given right now. Everything's just when you think potential leaders could be, just automatically going in. Things have been so different this year. So I don't see just a clear front runner. Do you, Kerry?
No, not particularly. If someone said, well, you have to pick one, I'd probably say Chase Elliott, just because of the way that the rest of the races stack up. He's really good at Martinsville, and he's good at Phoenix too. So obviously those are the final 2 races of the season. But I'm like you. I think that this season has been so competitive and so balanced that, I would say that there's probably 5-6 drivers out there right now that, in my opinion, have a real good chance to win the championship.
I think so. I think it's best to expect the unexpected
Real
this
quick,
year.
Right.
Real quick, we got to make picks, but the Kevin Harvick fine and the point loss. Jen, you're a Kevin Harvick fan. That was pretty steep yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, when Rodney Childers is fined and he's out 4 races, and of course, then you see all the Twitter hubbub of, it's a conspiracy. Well, I mean, if you have made a modification, there's a chance you're going to get busted. Plain and simple.
Yeah, huge penalty assessed to that team. I mean, losing your crew chief for really virtually almost the rest of the season, 4 races, is big. The $100,000 is big, and certainly the 100 points is huge. But that's one of the biggest penalties that they've assessed. And it's in the rule book, though. If you modify a part that is provided by a manufacturer, you're going to get in some big trouble. So we'll see how all that shakes out, if they're going to appeal it or not. But huge penalty yesterday. Yeah,
I mean, fortunately, he's not continuing on in the playoffs. So I think it would have been even a bigger deal had he been advancing.
All right, I think there's 3. I've narrowed it down to 3 racers, three gentlemen that I think are great picks this weekend. One is obviously the winner from last weekend. One runs really well on road courses, and one is a long shot who has run really well. Kerry, you have the first pick. Who are you going with?
Well, I tell you what, I'm going with outside the box here a little bit, and I believe he's running in the Cup Series this weekend. Jen, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going with AJ Allman.
Wow! Oh my gosh, he was one of my 3.
That was one of my 3. That was one of the 3.
Yeah, he announced yesterday that he's going full-time cup racing next year, so I think he's on a little bit of a roll right now. I like AJ to win on Sunday.
Okay. One of the three that I just mentioned is gone, is off the board. Who are you going with, Jen?
You know what? I'm going to stick with the favorite, which is probably going to bite me. I'm going to say Elliott.
That was number 2. That was the favorite. That means we're going to make a clean sweep of it. I'll go Tyler Reddick, the runner up there last year, has a pair of road wins to go along with being 5th at Coda, 7th at Watkins Glen.
Good pick, Bill.
Yep.
How about that? I am getting good at this.
Now, the points indicate otherwise, but okay.
Kerry, we always appreciate you each and every Thursday, and we'll team up and give Jen a noogie again next week.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you all.
Thanks, Kerry.
Appreciate everybody being a part of the program. JC Shurburtt, Brian Edwards, and, of course, Kerry Tharp. We love having him each and every week. That's always a lot of fun.
My buddy, not yours.
Yeah, we'll debate that all fair. We'll be back tomorrow morning to let you know how the outcome of that debate goes. See you tomorrow.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus Media.
See everybody tomorrow. Yes, Anthony, thank you. Chuck, y'all all have a good day. Good job on the live stream, everybody. Good conversation, good chat. Very proud of all y'all. You're doing a fantastic job.
Me? What?
Huh?
You were talking about me, right?
Yes, you did a fantastic job as well. Just good all the way around. Later.
Been one of those days. Oh my gosh, busy.